Get triple anti-dandruff power, supercharged with Clear.
So it is not a unanimous desk, but it's only Naisu who will be different.
No, I'll change mine to Onic then.
What?
I'm an Onic guy
That's
now.
my son.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Bring it on, what's your prediction? Go!
Mine's Team Liquid, the father and son. They are in agreement that they're both Onic, so it's 3 of us for Liquid. Thank you so much, casters. We'll see you later.
What was that about?
Why did he change last minute?
What was that?
Like, he was so convinced he even did the sound of the horse.
No, it sounded like...
it's not a sound of a horse.
Again, it sounded more like... Oh wait, even that sounds better. Dingan, you step it up, bro.
He can work on it. Like,
Yeah,
he
he's
can
got time.
probably make some calls during his play-by-play.
I will listen closely.
I will listen closely, so you gotta watch out. We will be waiting for that perfected horse sound later on. But you know what? This has been a very funny intro so far.
Yeah, no, for such a high-profile match.
Yeah.
For the golden rivalry, for us to laugh it off, you know what? This is just nerves. This is just us expecting what's already coming. Come on. You know what it is, right?
We'll be so locked in later. This is probably the last time we're able to laugh it off. But this is definitely a very high-stakes match. We did mention it earlier. There's not just whoever's going to come out on top for this season, at least at stake for both of these teams. It's that slot to MSC, and it's also the ticket to the grand finals.
And a lot of records being broken. Again, this whole first and third and first situation. If Onic wins, then already they changed the game. They changed the course of history. But if Liquid wins, then that makes Onic have to climb out from the lower bracket. It's been a while since Onic had to do that.
Yep. Them having to go through the entire play-ins, them having to go through 2 game 5s already throughout. I mean, that's one too. Like stamina, endurance. That'll be tested definitely for Onic Philippines. And given that they've been through a lot in the first 2 days, they definitely don't want to go down there.
You know how crazy this is? They've had a tougher time in the past 48 hours than they had winning the M6 World Championship.
That is actually true. They've had such an easy time back then. I think even in SPS. But you know what? This is time to find out what's going to happen in this series. So let's all see the player walk-ins.
Champions Arena. To oversee and uphold the tournament's integrity, please welcome our marshals, Joshua, Chico, Juvin, and David. Only one is destined to be the first team in the grand final stage. Your competitors, Team Liquid Philippines, Onic Philippines. In the EXP lane, it's Kirk and Sanford. In the jungle, Carl Teasy and King Kong! The mid laners, Sanji and Super Friends! The roamers, JP and Brusco! And the eternal battle between Oheb and Kelra! And their respective coaches. For Team Liquid Philippines, Coach RC. For Onic Philippines, Coach Why Not? This is the golden rivalry for immortality for MSC Champions Arena. It's game time!
I honestly cannot hide my excitement from the way these players just decided to walk in and not even make fun of each other, not like the past 2 days. Leo, take us through what we should be expecting for Team Liquid Philippines.
Team Liquid Philippines, #1 across the board. Turtles, KDA, kills, GPM, DPM. #2 in game duration average. But here's the thing. In the playoffs, they decided to get a little experimental. You now have a Terizla in the hands of Sanford. The JH, Jawhead, previously 100% from Daddy JP. He doesn't rely on that as much anymore, despite it being his top heroes. So something to watch out for is how Mr. 2K, Carl Teasy, might pop off today. Yesterday, he was more of a role player. Yesterday, he was more like, yeah, whatever you need me to do, man. I'm going to play the Freddy if I need to again. But against the Super Fam, I think he himself will have to understand that my team needs me more than I need to show off.
Yep, I agree so much, especially with JP. He went beyond what people expect of him. He went beyond the hero pools that we kind of limit him to use. But this is Onic Philippines. Similar to what you did mention, they're actually leading in least deaths, but they're quite low in terms of kill participation, and they are actually first in terms of first blood rate. You know, that's just their aggressive and individualistic playstyle that you constantly see from them. But they're still able to balance it out with the right amount of chemistry, with that synergy that we always see in terms of how the Super family is able to play. And these are overall stats too that we should be watching out. Man, look at that hero pool.
Yep, they are either tied or have already gone above Aurora, their rivals as Trailblazers in the new era. So that is the one thing that they have that is higher than Liquid. So under the leadership of Coach RC, Liquid has just streamlined their approach to the game and decided to make like the defending champions. Again, this is very Onic of them to say, hey, rely on your solo mechanics, play as a team, and then go from there. That's their key to actually making it back in that series against Falcons last night. So this matchup here, you can look at the numbers and say, all right, Liquid is up. Yeah, you know, they're better at KDA. They have the #1 highest GPM and team DPM. But understand that Onic have deep pockets.
They have. We just mentioned it earlier too, in terms of our gold laners. Oheb, it does feel like for the entire season, he's been only either on the Harith, on the Granger, on the Kimi occasionally, on the Moskov. But other than that, it doesn't feel like he's been bringing out too much, unlike Kellera. You know, like even way back, right? Kellera's been the guy to even pull off all these Ruby gold lane picks, all those interesting kinds of gold laners. The Clint, that maybe it didn't work, but who knows? I mean, this happened too with all the entire 1-1 Jushin scenario, and they didn't give up. They didn't give up on it. Like, they still decided to keep trying, and eventually we saw the idea behind it. But before we head into this match again, I believe we should be listening on what's going in that smart ping test here right now.
No sniper, grabe! They will show it on the camera later. Let's go, let's go! Eto nga ako pre, si Mikasa. Mikasa! Ere! Paborito ni Mikasa sabihin, Ere! Ere! Wala pre, jacket diff bro, it's already a jacket diff. Yeah, they already lost. Why are you close ranging me bro? Sinabi ko na wala talaga may kwento Napokus lang ako. Sorry mga boss, nakapokus lang ako. ML lang nasa isip ko. Tsaka na yun, pagtapos ng playoffs. Nobody gets me like you do. Grabe yung improvement si Fuego pre Binigyan na naman ako ng inspirasyon ng Fuego pre, para magpapayat. Papayat ako, okay lang. Ako, kinakabisado ko lahat pre. Pati yung gold ko, napabayaan ko na pag-gold ko. Wala ganun talaga pre. Si Michael Jordan kasi, hindi na kami magkasama ngayon LQ kami. LQ3. FO. Binanatan ng truck ang tao. Sinagisaan ng tao. Nagpull pa. First time ko lang nakaano na pinigpull ba sa checkping Hindi na naman nakarepte si Earth. Bad trip na naman. Wala yan, game ka naman inis. Kaya mo yan. Yan talaga pag malakas pre, sinashutdown. Tatlo. Unstoppable kasi.
Alright, so that's our smart ping test, bringing you low latency gaming with smart Sulit promos.
Subscribe to Only 5G with non-stop data for non-stop gaming in your favorite loading platforms or at the smart booth right outside the MPL venue.
Yeah, my favorite line out of that entire ping test was the they already lost line by Oheb.
I don't disagree.
Imagine basing it on their new jackets. But here's the Infinix keys to victory. Leo, what should we be expecting from this?
In addition to getting really awesome jackets, Liquid has to prepare to face a 4 Protect 1 composition. Who's the one? Kellera. Who else? Onic can do just that. They can lose the early game, lose the mid game, as long as Kellera's even sitting on 0-4 and X, like they can come back, they can win. And all this while, all Onic has to do is exercise early game caution. If they can avoid Kellera slumping down and dropping down his stat like that, then all the more easier. Maybe they can activate King Kong, even activate Super Friends. And last but not least, both teams should go for the long game. Expect 5 games.
I can't believe they actually put it there. So are we seriously on the road to 34 today? Like, does everyone believe so? Like, actually, if you ask me, I think so too.
It's 30 tonight, 37 tomorrow, and then 44 all in.
Oh, wait, so
1 day at a time.
1 day at a time. We're maxing out the entire playoff. That's such a feat, you know? Like, if we get to achieve that, it's insane how we're able to maybe, statistically, already call this the most competitive season yet.
It already is. It's a concerted effort between the teams, between the fans, and of course the talents who have some juju that make these series go long.
All right.
You know who you are.
We don't believe in curses here, by the way, but we are about to witness the first draft of this best of 5, and we're calling in some reinforcements once again. Renmar, how do you want me to introduce you for today?
I'll introduce myself. Hello and good afternoon, Leo, Brigida, and to the Renmarians all across the world.
Hail Renmarians!
Hail!
Hail Renmarians! So that's how you do it. I'll be taking notes. But for now, Coach RC, they're banning out the Fanny and the Oheb, and Onic Philippines, they took the Oheb. Well,
You're not wrong.
It is the Oheb. He's sitting on an amazing record right now.
Yeah. Do you get me?
He understood.
It looks like the Oheb just read. So Kimi and Chip are the options, however, for Onic Philippines, and it feels like the only first picks that are still out there so far, along the lines of the Joy.
Yeah, Joy, Juicin. Box has also been a rising first pick in this playoffs.
So the Baksha is available. That's been a flex, a major flex for a lot of teams. Falcons did use it too just last night when they unfortunately got their reverse sweep. But now what could be the last ban for Onic Philippines? The trend so far is opening so much in terms of the jungler picks for both Carl TZ and King Kong.
You think there's a chance we might be seeing a race for the low E for the first picks here? I mean, it is Sanji and Super Friends.
That's the thing. With Chip out of the equation, you're going to want to watch out for that early low Yi. Low Yi snuck into drafts twice yesterday in the last phase. So with the Choi being banned here, maybe these two teams get the incentive to, lock in that low Yi here first or to close off their first phase.
Yeah, and by the way, that Lu Yi last night was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's been using the diversions non-stop whenever it was available, pairing it up also with some crowd control. It's definitely going to work wonders here for both of these teams, whoever decides to pick it up. But Team Liquid Philippines, they seem like they'd rather pick the Jushin this time.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock it. I think there's still a wide hero pool available for Super Friends, so they don't need to race for too hard. But Dangable, I believe, is might be the mindset here for Onic, or maybe looking towards getting one of the priority picks for Kelrath. I don't know if they want to rush either the Moskov or the Granger, though.
Yeah, I mean, we did mention in the Keys to Victory the entire Core Protect 1 thingy, but when it's the Moskov, I think you can expect something else from Kelrath. This time around, they're sticking with the Granger, though, and the Baksha that was just previously mentioned.
Yeah, what's so amazing about this Baksha is it provides rotational speed, reach, and anti-heal. All of these things are good in multiple kinds of combat. So by locking it in early, Coach Wynot's not, closing the draft. But Liquid, oh man, they secure the Hayabusa, key to their comeback last night, and of course the Phoveus, who is currently still, even post-patch, sitting high up in the prio bans and picks.
Yep, and there's gonna be a Suyo from King Kong to round out the first half of the drafting phase so far. So I'd say there's still plenty of flex that you can expect from Onic heading into the second phase, right?
Yeah, you can still flex the Baksha into the roam and the EXP, and lately that changes a lot of the dynamics, considering that it's up against the Phoveus. However, it might still default into the classic Hilda versus Phoveus in lane, considering that you see a Hayabusa on the other side. Makes sense for Kirk wanting to say to Coach Why not to Coach Hayes, hey, can I get a Hilda at least so that I can try to apply pressure in their jungle?
The Hilda for Kirk has been, like one of the heroes you just constantly attach to his name because he plays it that way. That entire solo rap warrior feeling whenever he gets the hands on the Hilda. But now they're respecting some of JP's potential hero picks, taking out the Jawhead as well.
You can't deny the astronomical win rate that JP has on the JH. But look at this, Liquid blocking out Super Friends' favorite, the Farsa. They should ban the rather the Selena, then ban the Farsa, because that's all three main heroes that he has. But that still leaves the Luyi open.
Oh,
yeah.
That's right.
So what do you do? You pick your poison, right? Is it Selena? Is it Farsa or is it Luyi?
Onic Philippines banning out the Gata Kacha. They may be eyeing on a Farsa priority, or they're trying to bait the LPH into banning it out. No, they're not going to bite the bait. They'd rather ban the Loyi. I feel like that's the better ban here.
Yeah, they have the Hayabusa either way, so they'll have ways to answer a potential Farsa pickup here for Super Friends, but we're not counting out the possibility too of another... Oh, never mind. They're just going with the Farsa.
No, they'll keep that Baksha flex, and they're not afraid of the Farsa. Why? Again, they have the Hayabusa for reach, and then they can still pick Cho. Or the High Lost Shore, like just cut right through.
So this isn't gonna be any setup type. It's just probably Team Liquid Philippines playing the team fights confidently and aggressively with the amount of tanky heroes that they already have right now.
Yeah, with Onic wanting to play a tight formation around the far side Granger, Team Liquid Philippines has a perfect lineup actually to break through that. Of course, with Leo mentioning that you could just bring down the Glorious Pathway, just run through them. But so far, there's not a lot of picks on the side of Onic Philippines that will give this TLPH lineup a lot of difficulty. If they decide to go Hilda here, it's not going to do much. They might have to settle for either an Edith or a CC if they want to be able to have stoppers.
Edith or a CC. There's also the glue.
Oh yeah, right. Why would I always forget about the glue?
Glue is new, all right?
It's
Glue is new, and there was a time in the past month that we couldn't touch him.
Yeah.
But here he is, looking to latch on to, two major targets. He wants to either get on Oheb or get on Sanji, one or the other.
And just like provide more targets overall whenever Carl TZ wants to play aggressively on this Hayabusa, possibly wasting the resources every now and then. But this is the lineup that they decide to go for in the first game. The lineup rating favors Onic Philippines quite a bit, right, Leo?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that Liquid's draft doesn't show in the index. And that comes down to map control, that comes down to just team fight pacing, and of course, the capability to say when you don't want to fight. Like, those are numbers that just don't reflect.
I agree. This is looking like another aggressive and action-packed game number one, so we'll head on over to our casters.
This is
Champions Arena is erupting right now. It's one series that stands in between a ticket to the Grand Final and another ticket off to Riyadh later this year. Is it going to be Team Liquid Philippines or Onic Philippines in our first match of the day? And will we get an epic conclusion to this golden rivalry? It's me, Naisu, Ingon, and Renmar on the desk all throughout the day. Gentlemen, how are we feeling? We're getting a glimpse at the emblems here.
Oh, all right. All standard in terms of the emblem picks. Of course, Superfist going for his fast-rotating, heavy map presence Farsa. And yeah, I too am erupting with excitement.
Yeah.
Even though it's only game number 1.
I feel the drums. My body's shaking right now, but
hopefully that's connected.
Yeah. If you're gonna look at actually the Suyo so far this playoffs, it seems like it doesn't have a good track record.
Oh yeah.
So King Kong is gonna look to change that, and at the same time, Oheb and Kirk, second time only to use the Moskov and the Glue for these respectively. So far, no wins coming into the playoffs. So let's see how things will change, because so far it has been a slow start for both of these teams. We're used to seeing the mid laners and the roamers really poke it out in the mid lane.
Yeah, this one's quite different though too, just because of what we've seen the past couple of days, a lot of these long series, and we've seen adjustments obviously throughout these longer series happen, but this time around with both compositions here, I feel like, yeah, we haven't seen the Suyo perform what we're used to seeing, and that's fine. He kind of needed that adjustment to happen, and at the same time, you just have to be able to support him. Now you have a Glue here that could help, but Brusco.
Finds Carl TZ with a Shield Unity, forced out the Shadow early on, but in exchange for the Revitalize, so a crucial battle spell for Onic expended for this turtle.
Yeah, very early in the game, Team Liquid Philippines are not going to be able to contest objectives as much. I mean, you've got Glue, you've got Basha that you have to deal with, Suyo, of course, one of the relatively tankier assassins.
Oh, Super Prince with a defender airstrike. It's grab coming in for the side of Onic as they take down Sanford as well. Let's see how TLPH will respond as Kirk flickers in once again with Super Prince. King Kong also on the chase, goes in for the kill, and an aggressive start for the Sonics as they take down one more. The daddy goes down.
He goes down, and hey, King Kong might have just put Suyo back on the board a little bit here.
Oh yeah, King Kong has not won this playoffs yet, if I'm not mistaken. He's 0-5 with everything that has happened, with all the lineups he's had to go against. But so far, in this one, this is not a terrible hero matchup against the Suyo. Sanji gets picked in the mid by Prince and Brusco.
In a blink of an eye, Brusco and Super Prince really putting control at the center of the map once again as a 4-0 start for the Sonics with 2.3k gold lead.
Yeah, very fast start here for Onic Philippines, and you know who has done really well so far through the playoffs is this Farsa pick.
Yeah.
Right? It's been so good for a lot of the teams that bring it because it's got such good early damage potential throughout the early game, but even in the late game, we've seen usually topping sometimes the carry in the big 4 stats for the Farsas here. So we're gonna have to see how Sanji adjusts that, because as he's sitting at 0-2, still trying to build up into his first item, doesn't have the flicker right now. We know even the Jushin pairs up really well with a lot of compositions, but right now they're just kind of getting outmaneuvered.
Yeah, as you can see, the dive center composition of Onic, Brusco has been a thorn in the neck of TLPH. As soon as the Lantern player is just beaming up, Brusco just dives in with a Shield Unity, disrupts whatever TLPH has in store for Onic Philippines.
All right, so Onic Philippines, they might find another one. JP, no, you don't need to dive under the tower this early on. Second turtle is going to be up, and it's still going to be looking good for Onic as Carl TZ is already getting pressured by Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk just replicating what a Hilda does right now, sticking onto Carl TZ, even sustaining damage coming in from 2. JP goes in with a glorious pathway. SOD is going to connect here. Sanford goes in with an Infernal Pursuit, might be able to bring down Super Prince. That's one member down for Onic Philippines. There's going to be a flicker. Sanford working on King Kong with the zone as JP might be able to get taken down. JP will fall. Super Prince as well. King Kong escapes.
Just in a snap, Onic Philippines lost the formation. Kirk, yes, he was doing the right job. King Kong might be up next in the docket, but Brusco's there to help him out unless...
No! See ya! King Kong was there, but now Carlos, he's not, there's no way Kirk goes under that. It's a Hayabusa versus a Glue. He's going to be fine. Gets away, but Kirk takes a couple shots. Might just be trying. I thought he was going to try to delay for King Kong to make it there, but yeah, ultimately, Onic Philippines still holding on to that lead they had there. What an interesting fight for the objective, but at least Carl got the turtle. Now the play here on the bottom side for this turret.
Instant rotation from Onic after dominating the turtle fight. Instantly goes down and helps Kelra, gives him enough space to take down a turret down bottom. And now so far, we're seeing Onic Philippines. Really, the sustain is just there for them because it's going to come down to a point where TLPH they have to use a lot of resources just to get by Brusco and Kirk.
Yeah, they are so tanky, and again, they don't have the damage profile to deal with them this early on. Although, yes, they were able to break the formation of Onic Philippines. It's the strength of their lineup. But if Onic Philippines keeps a tighter formation, they're a little bit more disciplined, and they're a little bit more careful with their timing, then they should not be as susceptible to what TLPH did to them earlier. In terms of the items, still very close. See Carl TZ still trying to catch up to King Kong, though. Around getting close to 1,000 gold difference between the Hayabusa and the Suyo.
They're not getting too, lane, in some of the important lanes, they're not getting too far behind, and it's going to be kind of work here, even for Carl TZ, just trying to clear this lane, but look at the shots from Kelra, bringing him under half health. Objective's going to be up shortly, so you got Onic Philippines trying to get in position, and TLPH looking to see what angle they can take, and part of that is just let, as Brigitte called earlier, let the Oheb farm up.
Yeah.
You know, let him get to where he needs to be on this Moskov. He can put pressure across the map if he wants to, and hopefully join these fights or the objectives later on when he's got some more items.
Oh, JP.
Oh no, JP used the glorious pathway defensively there. Major resource expended for the side of TLPH and on the right time because the turtle spawns.
All right, so Team Liquid Philippines are most likely going to be giving this objective up as they have their eyes set on the tower in the bottom lane, but the minion waves are a bit too far, so that could call for a defense on the side of Onic. No, they're going to be willing to give it up. Oh, Carl goes in.
Has to use the wiki shadow kill to evade a potential death, but gets stunned down by Brusco. Feeds the kill off to Kelra, and a huge kill onto the young goat.
What was the idea there?
No, it looks like he really just wanted the purple buff, but Sanford could be up next. A little bit too greedy, Carl TZ, and a great bump by Brusco.
Maybe he just wanted to force a situation where either the retro is going to be used or even steal that purple buff, and then he thought he could get away, but all the, you know, the super fan was basically there at that point, so this leads to now another objective taken, and maybe his purple buff taken.
Onic Philippines now attempting to steal away the purple buff of Carl TZ. That's a 5-man rotation. Kirk just soaking up the damage that TLPH can give him. And now Onic Philippines holding on to a 5k gold lead. Spread already committed by Kirk. Here comes a glorious pathway. Will they be able to make a play here as Sanji's continuing to dish out the Lantern Flare, but it has no effect whatsoever to the members of the Sonics.
Still not there in terms of the damage department as Onic Philippines' gold lead is ballooning closer and closer to 5,000. Oheb is just going to be left in split push duty to try and get resources for himself and take towers down for the team. I think Liquid are just going to have to turtle this out and try to play for the counter punch if they can, because even if they initiate, they don't have the damage. There's only a glowing wand on that Zeus in.
Yeah, and Carl is about 2,000, a little less than 2,000 gold behind at this point, so he's definitely playing catch up, and that's why we see him maybe taking some of these chances, you know, trying to get what he can, or even slow down King Kong a little bit in whatever capacity that's going to be. That's what Conceal going to be used. Might just be enough to push them off in this tier 2 turret. Sanji?
Force out the Crimson Beacon as Kelra on the chase. Here comes JP though to the rescue. Still no casualties for both of these teams.
Oh, already up to a Malefic Roar. 3 core items for King Kong Suyo. At the same time, Kirk and Brusco are getting closer and closer to building up the dominance ISIS, which means that once they have those items and Oheb wants to, you know, smack a little bit of those big beefy dudes, it's going to be like, wait, why am I getting slower? It's not as effective as I want it to be.
Yeah, that's going to be a big part of what can help them. Again, you got to remember what we saw yesterday. TLPH, they reverse swept, right? So even in this situation where they're down, what, 6,000 gold, you're not going to be able to just count them out, and you wouldn't want to do that because they are able to find plays even when you think their backs are completely against the wall. The fight for the purple buff, it looks like Carl TZ is not going to get it, though. So does not have his purple buff for now. The Lord is up. This could be a big decision for them. Do they actually want to contest into this, or does Onic Philippines just get this? It looks like they'll keep Oheb down on that bottom side, possibly get the tier 1, but JP takes a little bit of hits.
Here comes the spread, force out the glorious pathway. But Kirk works on JP. As they bring him down, King Kong focuses his eyes on the Lord. Kirk and Brusco just zoning out Carl TZ. The spear is going to connect. Sanford has to flicker out. Again, Kirk latches on Carl TZ here. Super Prince with a feather airstrike to zone out. But Kelra, I think he wants to go for the kill. Sanford goes in with an Infernal Pursuit, and he's going to take him down as King Kong gets the Lord. Carl TZ here might be the next target. Sanji forced to use off Crimson Beacon. And Kelra got taken down.
Sanji was still able to find Kelra there, but Onic Philippines are going to be walking away with the Lord. Oheb got back into the action with a Spear of Destruction, but he was able to take the tower down bottom. But at the end, the long sequence, Onic Philippines are still going to be in control.
Okay, they're still in control right now. The most they maybe get out of this is, you know, all the shields are going to be down. Maybe they get a base turret with this, but Oheb and Carl are still up.
Again, bit of flicker in. Super Prince with a feathered airstrike as they work on the mid lane turret. Lord sieging in onto the top. They still have their holy shields. I think every single shield will be popped here. 4-man rotation for Onic. Kelra still not in the picture, and TLPH will work on this Lord.
Yeah, you don't have to force that.
So much pressure. Kirk is literally the glue holding not Onic together, Team Liquid Philippines together. And they don't want to be together. They want a little bit more of separation between them so that they can do things individually. But Kirk is just keeping them at bay. Sanford doing everything he can to do something here, but he's going to be in trouble.
But Kirk latches onto Sanford here. Glorious Pathway cast it down. They're working on Kelra. Might be able to bring him down. That's one member down in exchange for Sanford. Carl TZ goes in with a wiki shadow kill.
It might be a turnaround here for Team Liquid Philippines. Brusco already low, but the members of Team Liquid Philippines are falling as Onic are holding on.
Sanji might be able to take down one. A double for Sanji, but Kirk answers back. A mega kill. Kirk and King Kong working on the top lane alongside Super Friends, and they're going to bring down and inhibit their turrets.
Kirk. He is such a nuisance on this glue. It's working so well for them.
It was a perfect pick. Again, I feel like there's a reason as to why I always forget about glue in drafts. Now Kirk is reminding us why you shouldn't.
Don't forget the name.
Don't forget, there's a UKK in town. It's Kirk and King Kong.
It's Kirk and King Kong, man. Yeah, because that's as far as we go. We only go to 2, right? Yeah. We keep it there, and now Onic Philippines is ready to go ahead and get ready for the next fight. You're still 50 seconds away from this objective coming up. And so at this point, TLPH, it looked like in some of those team fights, they might have been able to turn some of that around, right? But the biggest factor here is they're just lacking some of the damage, some of the durability because they are behind by this much gold. So if they're somehow able to, like you mentioned earlier, Renmar, to turtle up and be on the defensive, but buy time, And maybe to catch up here, a fight once again.
Clark Wade from Sanford just try and stop Onyx onslaught there as they try and take away the purple buff of Carl TZ. But again, it's going to be a waiting game for TLPH because in 15 seconds, the Lord will be spawning.
Kirk feels like a cowboy with a K right now. He's just rounding up all the horses together, and they just want to run free. They just want to run wild. But again, they're just all kept up, and of course, that means that Super Prince is happy, Kelra's happy, King Kong is happy because, well, when he goes in with the Soul Sever, he'll be able to deal so much damage.
Yeah. That's why Super Prince isn't afraid to early cast the Feathered Airstrike because he knows there's a cleanup that can come from King Kong. Kirk with the spread there.
King Kong?
As King Kong jumps in once again. Brusco with the Shield Unity looking for the proper target, and he latches onto JP.
That's going to be another one. Counter's going to take JP down. Onic Philippines look like they've found the main target, and that's 2 down for the side of Team Liquid Philippines.
The next target might be Heavier. King Kong jumps in, but Carl wants to fight back, and Carl's 81 that trade, but Sanji is the only one left. Super Prince with a double.
That might have been enough, though. Sanji on the run. Forget the Lord. Brusco wants to hunt him down. Kelra there, too. We'll see if they can push this into the mid lane. They still have some time. They try to keep it together, but Sanji, he's all alone. Can he actually clear this out and defend it?
The call for Onic Philippines is to get an inhibitor turret in the middle lane. Let's see if TLPH can still come back from this game. They don't decide to go for the Lord because King Kong is not in the picture. So there was still time bought for TLPH.
All right. They have another shot at this. 3,500 is the gold lead. It's not massive. They have the resources. Should have enough to get small wins here and there. But again, it seems to be them needing to initiate something. But it's tough. It's so tough when you have to think about the grab of the glue.
Yeah. He hasn't died, man.
Yeah, he hasn't. He's 3-0-8. Kirk has been unstoppable here. He's been the catalyst for Onic Philippines and the bane for Team Liquid.
Yep. He's providing so much space for Kelra to basically move around. Even King Kong to an extent. And that's what I was saying, you know, Nasuyo, you really need to rely on that composition.
Kirk again!
Again, Kirk with spread paired up with Super Prince's Feathered Airstrike. But TLPH was able to back off. JP already cast a Glorious Pathway. Brusco quite low, but he has to revitalize it. Sanford goes down!
And without OHEB, since he's grabbed by the it looks like he's going to go in! It's a turnaround for Team Liquid! But just in the snap, Onic has shattered that dream to keep this game alive! A triple for King Kong!
It's Kirk and King Kong in game 1. They made it work, and now they'll march into the base.
And in a blink of an eye, the Sonics rages forward as they take game 1.
Woo, what a game! Yeah, says Kirk, the cowboy with a K rounding up the horses.
Man, if Glue was an actual cowboy, I would be devastated and scared.
Yeah. Oh, they're not called cowboys, right? They're called wranglers.
Wranglers.
Wranglers, yeah.
He's wrangling right now, and he's wrangling them with glue links.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and throw this one over to the panel to see what Brigida and Leo have to say about this fast game 1.
Thank you so much, Towercasters. My, oh my, that last sequence, Leo, it looked like something could have happened for Team Liquid Philippines.
No, there was just too much on OHEB's shoulders, and that's literally Kirk. He got the right target, forced Team Liquid Philippines out of formation, and just to clear things out, gentlemen, yes, they're not called Wranglers specifically, they're still called Cowboys, because Cowboys are not the gunslingers, they're just actually dudes who work in farms.
My goodness, Kirk has had probably one of the best glue games so far in the entire season.
Clutch last pick.
Deathless. How could you deal with this guy with the amount of damage that they had at that point, right? Team Liquid Philippines had too many problems, and this was probably the biggest one.
Yeah, no, I think it was the, what they say, the straw that broke the horse's back. Given that, yes, in the index, it showed that stats-wise, Onic wins, right? Because they had better damage profile, they had better reach, better range, fights came out easier for them, and Kirk, I think Kirk single-handedly undid one of the main strengths of Liquid's game. The fact that Liquid can say, no, I don't want to fight just yet. I want to get out of here and then farm up till OHEB is ready. But Kirk said, nah, fam, nah, I'm going to use this newly reworked glue and make sure that your softies, or even your not softies, you're kind of softies in focus early on, can't walk away, and that's exactly what he did here. You're seeing it. He's doing it every single time.
That's right. They couldn't say no. Like, they're always forced to fight. And this is probably one of the games wherein we barely saw the chemistry, the coordination within Team Liquid Philippines. Not even the San duo could operate at the same time. It's completely shut down for the XP laner of Team Liquid.
And this is something we saw in their series against Falcons last night. It's odd that in the early games of a long series like this, it seems like Liquid has to warm up. They have to, rev the engines and say, all right, guys, we're a little too aggressive. We're going for things that maybe we shouldn't have. Timing isn't on our side. Let's do better game 2, 3, 4. Here it was clear. There was this one moment, I don't know if you saw it in the highlights, where Carl TZ got caught out while he was trying to go for a buffer or some random thing that he shouldn't have.
Yeah, and is that not the worst scenario for a Hayabusa when you're the one who's constantly forced to use the quad shadows just to get away, just to reposition, and not even find key targets? This was the entire idea why we mentioned in the draft that the Farsa could have been okay for Team Liquid Philippines, right? But no, it was Super Prince flying right into their faces, and they could barely do anything with the amount of burst damage that he already had. So it was a pretty hard and rough game for Team Liquid Philippines. Philippines right there in this game number 1.
Yeah, for such a difficult match here, they had a close farm. Again, Renmar mentioned how Onic never really went past the 5K gold lead, and I think that's understood to be, at least for the past year or so, the threshold for competitive MLBB. If you can keep it close like that, even when you're down, a game is comebackable, and I think that's what Onic respected in Team Liquid Philippines. They still planted Kirk in the right spots, kept Super Prince scarce. He died just once in this game, and they told King Kong, hey, you get shut down once, best believe that gold lead will diminish, and it did. The smallest it was like 2,000, 3,000, but that was just once.
Yeah, I mean, look at this right now. Even as we wrapped up the game, 15 minutes and 35 seconds, there's only just a 3K gold lead that's existing in the hands of Onic Philippines, despite the 722 kill score, despite all the objectives that were taken away from them. 8 turrets in contrast to 3.
Yeah, no.
It's so weird how Team Liquid Philippines are able to keep this together.
The furthest that Liquid ever came close to Onic's base was through bottom lane, that Oheb worked on. By the way, Oheb spent a good, 5 or 6 minutes just clamming up, keeping himself scarce, defending his part of the map, farming up, and he built a solid 6, right? But he did not cross the threshold of actually selling his boots and being an even bigger nuisance. He had to play it close to the chest. He had to be frugal about his economy. And looking at the damage, I think this is something that we'll visit later on. King Kong alone, the carry, 81K, the rich guy, of course. When did King Kong never farm out of his mind?
Yeah, and also, when was the last time we saw a Suyo be this successful in the game? Like from the early first few minutes of the game up until the moment where they ended it, he was ahead, he was so well farmed, so this is a surprising outcome for King Kong.
I'll tell you when. Whenever the opponents only pick one solid magic damage dealer, and it's not even a burst damage dealer, it's a Zushin who killed Kelra like 2 or 3 times.
Oh yeah, and that took like so much for him to do that.
He was literally just hovering his skill 2 over Kelra in the span of like a 10-15 second fight. But yeah, no, that's the reason why King Kong was so successful. That's one of the geniuses of Coach Waina and Coach Hayes' draft here, saying, King Kong, coast is clear, go play Suyo.
Yeah, I mean, I think you will be looking at it later on too, but there was an early Malefic Roar. There was just so many core items already in King Kong's hands by how many minute mark? So take us through what happened through that game, Leo. Let's look at the more specific details in that game.
It would be my pleasure. Let's go ahead and check out game number 1 and go into the details as we dive deep into what made Liquid's game so difficult and how Onic barreled forward in value. And here's the thing, it wasn't even that big of a gap, right? Again, under 5K, the difference between Liquid and Onic. By the way, I don't think Onic has ever played blue side. I need to double check on that stat, but Onic has played 11 games now in red side, and check it out. This right here is where it shrank closest. The shutdown on King Kong, right? King Kong died somewhere around Yay, and that led to this gap closing to, what, close to 2,000, and that is the closest Liquid looked like to actually coming back, to actually maybe making a difference and making Onic respect, once again, what the Cavalry brings to the table. But that aside, look at this. Half of the major objectives gained. 1 turtle snuck in. That's turtle number 2. 3 turrets. That's all bottom. Wait, no. 1 up top and then 2 in the bottom. Didn't even penetrate into the base. And then, of course, Onic just everything but the kitchen sink. Yep. There you go. This was the last. This was the base right here. So, it comes down to fundamentals, right? No matter how much fight control you have, no matter how much spacing you can get with a Zushin or a Hylos, when it comes down to it, if your lineup can't fight when it wants to, best believe a team like Onic will punish you, and that's what they got here. They got the Baksha, they got the glue. That's what we like to call reach. We'll talk about that when the draft shows up here. And when you're playing against a hero or players like King Kong and Kelra, who are so good at taking advantage of the EXP and the gold that they get, these fundamental voids in your approach to the game will be super punished, all right? So, again, a closer look at that change in the gold at about 13 minutes, approaching 14. That is where King Kong died. He came back, said, it's go time, we can't let this happen again. It was a faster game in the larger picture of the playoffs. Let's check out the item progression. This is where I would like to geek out. Look at Kelra's full build here on the Sky Piercer. Yes, it shows up at 6, but if you watch the game closely, he built both the Hunter Strike and the Sky Piercer and the random Jerkin that would lead then to the Warrior Boots. And if I'm not mistaken, he did this at 5:06, 5:07. He was ready to go at 5 minutes. That's how difficult the gold lane was for Oheb. And then look at King Kong here, who Brigida mentioned was rocking an early Malefic Roar. There it is. So this is a Suyo that knows that they're in for the kill. Hunter Strike, check. War Axe, check. Like these two, you never let go. And then, bam! Malefic Roar. You're going to shred through Sanford's armor. You're going to shred through JP's armor. The healing, forget about it. You got the Brusco Baksha here running around building that Antikiras early, nullifying Sanford, nullifying Carl Tizzy. A little bit of Oheb already. Because again, very weird damage profile here. Only one main magic source in Sanji's Zushin. Check out as well, Kirk, this was mentioned by our casters, the Dominance Ice. I believe this one single item here was enough to make sure Oheb had a difficult early mid to early late. He did eventually build 6 items and felt a little bit of a power spike, but no, this right here, the way Kirk said, yeah, if ever Oheb were to get me, if ever JP decides to touch me, say goodbye to the healing. Even Sanford found it hard to ride out those early engagements. The front line did not exist for Team Liquid Philippines because of what Kirk did here, the early Dominance Ice. Super Friends, of course, you build the usual defensive suite in the Queen's Wings and the Winter Trunch, and then Brusco. Folks, I suggest you guys pay attention to how Bakshas are built. Again, throwing back to the Chop Suey meta, he built a Black Ice armor here. So just in case these fights happened without Kirk and his fully built Dominance Ice, Brusco was there. Brusco could slow down the healing, cut the shields, and stack on top of those Baksha marks. That's the reason why Baksha is so big in the current metagame. Now let's talk about the draft, all right? Number one major problem, damage profile. I noted this in the desk whenever I would be on and a team would be defending. I give the wave clear score for Team Liquid Philippines here with this draft a 6 out of 10. I don't like it. It takes a while. There was a moment wherein it was Carl TZ and Sanji trying to clear a wave in mid and bottom. It took him, what, a solid 10 seconds. Just like, this is one wave, gentlemen. And again, that's a decision they made. This is a team fighting lineup. This is a lineup that wants to at least be at neutral, win the fights that they choose, and then retreat from the fights that they don't choose. That was one of the main strengths that I noted in this draft, but they didn't get to those positions. They never got to a point wherein they could say, I don't want to fight. On the other hand, Onic, again, kings of range and reach. Range, Pow, Farsa, Pow, Granger, reach. That's a new concept we want to introduce. How perfect that it is Brusco, who is the king of reach in this game. Reach is different from range. Range is how you can effectively attack your opponents while being far away. Reach is what you get in assassins like Hayabusa and in heroes like Baksha and Kufra, wherein you jump in, close the gap, and then be right in your opponent's face. That is reach. That is what ruins heroes like Farsa, ruins heroes like Eve, and even Zushin. If you can close the gap and make her fight wherein you're not comfortable, then forget about it. Like the shield negation that Baksha provides against Zushin almost makes Crimson Beacon an auto click. And that compromised Sanji, that compromised all of Liquid, and that's what led to this quick win by the Super Fam.
Yep, those mid-game stats by this guy, the reach, Brusco, that was like 10k gold ahead of the unusual average stats of the current season. So that's on the Baksha roam, which again has been a major threat too for majority of the drafts for the past 2 days. And
they breakout pick in the playoffs.
Yeah, they've been able to pull it off really well. I mean, that tends to happen, right? That there's a certain meta that gets established in the first day, especially after a very long break. And right now we're seeing how the meta in the playoffs is starting to shape up to look like. And it does feel like Onic Philippines is the team to actually perfect that meta so far and the way they're able to execute it overall. But yeah, I completely agree. It's been a very tough game. I barely felt the sustain in the Team Liquid Philippines lineup. I initially thought there was so much. That was a Phobius, that was a high loss, but we barely felt it. But right now, let's take a look at the smart power pose of the day. So for everyone watching, it's time to put your game face on and make your smart power pose, because you will be getting a redeemable in-game code if you get chosen here in this segment. So
folks, note the tongue. Note Kirk's tongue. They gotta pay attention to the tongue.
Yeah. Show us the right one.
Oh, this kid. Homie went too far.
Wait, he didn't hold it.
Metal mouth went a little too far.
No, that's too high. That's too high.
Yeah, there's too much tongue. It's just a little. Hey, that's not Kirk. Here we go.
Oh, I think this one. I think this works.
All right, this bespectacled lady knows. Okay. She did it right the first time.
Okay, I think we need a bit more.
Homie's got a nice smile, but
how do I say this?
The young lady's tongue is a little too playful. This guy's not having any of it.
no, we you just show a bit of your teeth?
Yeah, I'd say like the upper half of your teeth and some, and there you go. Like, gentleman in the back with the tattoos almost got it.
Okay. Did he?
But
no, that's a bit too much.
Yeah.
So, okay. So this guy's gonna be our winner for the Smart Power Pose. Congratulations to you. I hope you enjoy your redeemable in-game code.
He won with charm.
Yeah, he didn't get the tongue right, but like,
that's fine.
You see,
he got heart.
He held it all the way. Yeah. So he deserved to get that redeemable in-game code.
Dedication.
So congratulations. We have a lot more in store for you guys if ever you do decide to come here at Green Sun Makati, if you decide to join us and watch the last 2-3 days of our playoffs. So we hope to see you. We hope that you were able to secure tickets, because I believe they went by really fast. So by the way, Onic Philippines, will be going red side.
Of course.
This time around?
This is their 12th game. All playoffs long to be in the red side.
They've mastered the trades so much. Like, they just know this is where they want to be. We saw it earlier too. Like, their win rates when they're on the red side, it's just way too up there. They're just so confident in terms of them playing the red side and them letting go of certain picks. Like, even the Jushin first pick earlier that was done by Team Liquid Philippines, you see how they were able to play around it. Even the Phobius is a common ban that we see in the first phase, but they knew exactly how to respond to that. But again,
Oh my God.
Leo did mention earlier, we do observe that Team Liquid Philippines tends to take a little bit more time.
Yeah.
I believe this was a trend for other teams in international tournaments too, or like way back, it was something we saw in Aurora as well, but now it's happening to Team Liquid Philippines.
That's why we love the lower bracket. But here's the thing, you don't have to go to the lower bracket. Like, winning this series punches your ticket to the grand finals and the MSC. So it doesn't have to come to that, all right? So I have hope that a lot of lessons were learned in game 1 to give us a more competitive game number 2. It's just, Onic also watched last night. Onic also knows what the cavalry is capable of, so they would, you know.
That was probably their form of rest, right? Like, watching the series together after they played their own series in the first match of yesterday. But we're calling Redmar in once more to join us in the draft. Redmar, how are you feeling? Did you like what you saw in that game?
Yeah, I mean, I did. How Onic was able to come back into that. Hello again, Leo, bring it up.
It was a very dominant game for Onic Philippines, completely denying the sustained heroes for Team Liquid. So now they changed things up. No Jushins whatsoever. It's a more common first pick so far for Team Liquid Philippines.
Hey man, all the Renmarians are asking, should the Baka show up here again?
I mean, there's a chance that it will, and probably in the E. No, I think it's still going to be in the Rome. Considering that there's a Harith on the other side, Team Liquid Philippines might consider picking up the Baksha. That's one of the heroes that's been proven to not counter it, but just give it difficulty. Of course, you know, you're reducing a little bit of the shields that he can get. It's still a crazy amount of shields, but you know, every little thing helps when trying to deal with Harith.
That and the Phobias, so this is already a clear signal, but it might be a trap by Coach. Why not?
Yeah, I agree with that. That they might be trying to bait out a Baksha pick early on.
What if they have answers to this? You know, like we've seen it in the previous days. Like, for lineups that had the Baksha, it feels like you have to allot a ban for a certain pick that will make your time very difficult. But Team Liquid Philippines might not fall into that trap. They're picking up the Gatot first, and if they pick the Baksha here, that'll pretty much reveal a lot since you already have your jungler, so you don't get the flex benefit of the Baksha if they pick it up here, so they will proceed with the Farsa instead.
Ooh, okay, I like this Farsa ban. Sanji applied, Superfest applied so much pressure for the lineup of Team Liquid Philippines earlier. So, good response right away, picking up the Hayabusa. Seems to be the go-to slot now for Haya, Red 3.
If it wasn't such a magic damage-filled first half for Liquid, then that would have been a Suyo, right? But Haya it is, again, quick access, quick reach to the Farsa in the back, now closing off these picks. Do we attack the gold lane? Do we attack the XP lane for Liquid?
Yeah, I mean, the matchup that just can kind of manage things with a Harith in the lane is probably the Granger. Like, that's the closest, but that's already banned out. So the next possible probably will be the Moscow if ever they do want to offer that. But this is looking pretty interesting, since does Onic want to let go of the Baksha in this kind of scenario? Since it feels like the Baksha earlier played by Onic was up against Team Liquid Philippines with this exact same lineup, and it worked. So would they want to like encounter that same problem?
They do need a little bit more thickness in their lineup though. Maybe this time around, Team Liquid Philippines might consider picking up the glue for themselves. Just a little thing to deal with the Harith and whoever's going to be left alone in the backline, most likely to pick up Super Friends, considering that Team Liquid Philippines had a really great ban here in the Salinas. So then does that mean they're going to be considering taking out something like the Lo Yi, maybe, if they want to take out another Super Friends Comfort to put him in something that might be a bit of a matchup mishap for him.
Oh, and by the way, I think the carry might also be an option but that's too much magic damage if you're Team Liquid Philippines already.
Yeah, you need either physical or true at this point. Like, that is way too much magic. That Radiant Armors early on is just gonna snuff their development in the game.
Yep, I agree. So what does Team Liquid Philippines go for as their last ban? Is it gonna be the Lu Yi?
Mind you, Ohem still has a Bruno. A pocket Bruno.
Oh yeah.
That he, for a majority of the regular season, alone played a lot. Like, that was his go-to if everything else failed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Considering that it's going to be paired up with the Farsa, or with the Gacha enjoyed diving forward, there should be enough room for the Matrix. However, that means that Team Liquid Philippines will have to have another frontliner in the back line to peel, because the Hayabusa will just be able to dive onto them easy.
That too. So it's Bea or Bruno left for the Filipino sniper.
Yeah.
Yep. And the Lu Yi potential pickup if Super Prince wants to go that route? Or do they just really be cautious of the presence of the Joy? Because, you know, but I mean, it's like you can just play it as aggressively as we saw it yesterday. If ever they do pick it up, it works well with the Haya too in terms of managing the split or the opposite ways if ever they do want to go for the macro. So
For the world's longest quad shadow.
it can happen if ever they do pick it up here.
I mean, but they have no rush for it. Because again, you already know who the mid laner is over there.
Oh, all right, just catching up. Ooh. All right.
Oh, they pick up the Cho and there's no draw head anymore. So what does JP go for? There's no chip too. Or is he gonna go for the Gato?
That might as well be the case. Because again, we know Liquid has deep pockets, but no, they learned their lesson yesterday. We're not gonna play the meta anymore. We'll play what we know.
They're sticking with it. It's something we saw from Onic Philippines too, and eventually they did find a way to make it work. But now it's the mage for Super Prince. Even the carry's still out, even the Kimmy's still out there, as we mentioned. Unless they're gonna go.
It's banned.
Okay.
So we go for what we expected anyways.
Nice.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, it was this or the Eve?
It was. Considering that there's a Joy though, so this probably would have been the safer option.
More mobile.
Onic Philippines, it feels like they're just so confident with the way they're drafting so far in the past 2 games. It's like they're able to foresee every single thing that might come out, and it's Team Liquid Philippines who, since yesterday, have been feeling a bit off.
Even as the game has already started, I think Liquid's learning a lot. So look at this. This is a adjustment from their draft in game 1, and the numbers are looking better already.
Yep. They have to show us, and they have to execute it as well in such a way that they're able to maximize this lineup's potential, because it has a lot. You can expect a lot of combinations, a lot of hero synergies. That's the part that's the thought. But let's see how everything unfolds as we throw it over to our casters.
Thanks so much, panel. Again, Brigida and Leo and Renmarian. And Renmarian's back on the desk with us once again. It's me and Ingon jumping into game 2 here. We'll see if TLPH can go ahead and even out the series, or maybe I don't know, maybe they just want another reverse sweep under their hands here. We're going to find out. The lineup looks better, though, I would say, for the composition this time around for TLPH.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned it a little bit in the draft. Let's take a quick look at the emblems. Anything standing out?
No, all pretty standard. Of course, Superfish going with his tenacity and Inspire, 5% cooldown reduction, along with the Brave Smite, for his low Yi. And one of the key interactions here for Team Liquid Philippines are their double revitalize and the Gata and high loss. They should not hesitate to take those early to mid-game trades, because when you have that with you, that means even though Onic Philippines, their damage might trump you in the early to mid, you have the regen to get through it and to potentially turn things around. So if ever they find themselves in a skirmish, and as long as Sanford and JP are together, go ahead, fight.
Yeah, but it seems like Onic actually is on the driver's seat now.
Carl 7-0 on the Joy?
Yeah, undefeated.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that, actually.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's okay. Because that's an amazing stat, and let's see if Carl TZ will suffer his first defeat with the Joy, especially with the adjustments that they have. I do agree with what Renmar said in terms of, forcing things out. They can force a revitalize 1 or 2 even before the turtle spots.
That's the crazy thing. When was the last time we saw double revitalize in the past couple? I mean, even the end of regular season, we haven't seen that too often. It was a strategy that teams like to go with, more so in the beginning of the regular season. But this is a whole lot of sustain that's going to help TLPH and, maybe even help the fact that Carl TZ can play a little more aggressive even. And, for those that missed it yesterday, Carl TZ just achieved a pretty big milestone for the MPL Philippines where he had 2,000 kills. First one in the MPL Philippines. Fight for the turtle.
Dark Wave there for Kirk. They all jump in, but a Glorious Pathway. Spirit of Destruction missed. So this might be an opening here for Onic, but Carl TZ will secure the turtle. Super Fritz going in the middle as JP picks up a kill.
Exactly what we were talking about. Kirk might be up on the docket, but he'll be able to get away. The double revitalize early on. Don't hesitate to fight. And TLPH, they stuck true to that main condition.
That's exactly what it was, and that'll be the case for the majority of the early game. Now, at some point, obviously, Onic Philippines will get the items that they need, and they'll be able to go ahead and counter play into that a little bit. But it's going to be a rough early to mid game even. If TLPH continues to go ahead and focus on objectives and then scale up, it's going to be troublesome. Brusco.
Purify popped down there by Sanji, so Brusco getting caught there by JP as King Kong tries to go for the chase, even used up the Retribution to bring down Sanji. Brusco escapes.
Well, kills across the map. All right, so a kill onto Kirk. Carl TZ was able to get 1, and then a trade out for Sanji, who eventually, after getting kicked out of the sky, did fall down. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, that Purify will help a little bit, but also the thing to take note of is Brusco has done pretty well on the Cho when he gets picked up. I think, sitting at a positive win rate on it, 6-3 right now, is still the main thing. He's usually able to go ahead and find those exact targets that they need to, especially in some of the more crucial team fights later on. Ouch. Takes a lot of poke here, though, too, and that's one thing. Like I said, man, the Farsa has risen up once again. in a lot of these compositions that we're seeing just because of that early burst, the jump.
AOG jump there for JP. They want to go for it, Kirk. And it looks like he's going to fall down, but in exchange for Sanji as King Kong picks up another kill and both teams will disperse.
All right, good trade there. Good sense by King Kong to just jump straight into the backline, take Sanji down as the other members of Team Liquid Philippines were focused on Kirk. This should go a little bit better for Onic Philippines in contesting this turtle, but Sanji will be back in time. And it looks like it's going to be a full-on 5v5 considering the two gold laners are nearby. Let's see, though, where Oheb and Kelra will go. It seems like they are focused more on just getting the farm.
Yeah, Oheb's got to do that, though. So he went, cleared mid. He's going to go back down bottom. The fight for the turtle, though, we'll see if... Oh, throws the spear.
There's the SOD and the glorious pathway there from Sanford. Kirk jumps in, but the Infernal Pursuit as King Kong gets the turtle, though. But the clash still going on. JP might fall down here, but the first man down is Brusco. Next one is JP. And both teams again will disperse, but there's going to be a diversion, though.
Where's that going to go?
Okay.
Oh, no, they're going to be sending them back. Oh, Kirk still holding on, trying to do everything he can to be able to clear up the minion wave. And he avoids getting taken down. Oheb, good call to not commit the Spear of Destruction to go into the fight. Seems like Team Liquid Philippines just told him, go ahead, focus on the farm, get the tower instead. That's more important now.
Yeah, and ultimately leading to pretty much even, across the board for the most part. Both teams still looking to find that momentum in this game, but TLPH responds with focusing on an objective, and that's space is what they want to go, because they bring out Oheb now. The top side, he's going to be working on that tier 1 there too, alongside the help with Sanford as they force off Kirk. So this is the play for TLPH. Oh, hold on, JP.
Trying to collapse onto JP, but he's quite hacky. SOD is going to connect good Dark Wave there from Kirk, but they cannot sustain the damage though. JP picks up another kill as he jumps in, but Oheb is going to fall down. Another weak Shadow Kill coming in from King Kong. And now Super Prince is left there.
Oh, good counter there by Onic. They all lined up and it looked perfect for Oheb, but he eventually got taken down. But that tight fighting path meant that the damage of below you would be great. King Kong finds Carl, but Carl still trying to get away. Sanford here to help him out.
Close call. That was close.
That was calculated. That was either close, that was calculated, that was all of it. Right? That's what you see when it's a Joy and a Hayabusa, of course, trying to fake out each other. So ultimately, we're still at the same precipice of this. It's basically even. You have this next turtle coming up. Both of the teams have won themselves. We'll see who gets this last and final turtle of the game. Onic Philippines is going to get in position. They'll continue to put pressure for TLPH over on the other side with Oheb. We'll see if he joins this fight as Kawa takes down the tier 1 top side. Now the response from TLPH for this is also going to be crucial. They've only got the one Revitalize. Sanji is going to be okay too. Has his Purify. Brusco goes in with a Conceal.
Oh, target might be Sanji, but instead went with Carl TZ. AOG again paired up with the Glorious Pathway. The Spear of Destruction is not going to connect. That's why King Kong was able to pick off one. Next target might be Sanji there. It's not caught off by Kirk. JP falls down. A double. And 3 will fall down for TLPH.
Brusco does it again. Smooth on the conceal and the kick. A slick kick by Brusco.
Yeah, I was commenting about that earlier, man. He's got one of the better records on the show, and he's able to find the right targets at the right moment. Again, just the pressure of him, just being on the show is enough to keep a lot of teams kind of second-guessing on exactly how they want to approach these fights. This turtle's now up. TLPH is going to get a position. They drop down the pathway.
Yeah, Carl TZ doesn't have retribution, so they're going for the kills instead. Beautiful kick once again from Brusco to catch Carl TZ. Sanji jumps in picture. Again. SOD again will miss, and this time, Kelra in the picture. Salmon Force drop down.
And it looks like TLPH needs to run away as Onic Philippines know that the gold laner of TL missed the SOD, and they only lose Sanford. That could have been
way
an
worse.
Absolute disaster. Yeah, way worse for Team Liquid.
Could have been way worse there, and it's, I don't know, man, every single time, I don't know what it is about these spears being thrown right now by Oheb, but sometimes it takes just that one at the crucial moment. Now, some of these team fights, again, yes, they're going in favor of Onic Philippines. They're starting to build some of that lead, but ultimately, knowing TLPH, they'll still go ahead and get ready to fight for that first Lord. They still got a minute plus to go ahead and get what they need. They're not too far behind, but the problem is, again, if Oheb decides to just plan himself up, let's say he does miss the next Spear of Destruction, then yeah, that's not going to be good, but a Conceal's going to be used.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
There's a diversion though. Spear of Destruction again will miss as Kirk working on Sanji. There's a Revitalize though. Kirk though jumps in with the Infernal Pursuit. One more hit onto Sanji, but gets ganked off and collapsed on by TLPH. Kirk is going to fall down.
All right, good positional adjustment there by Team Liquid Philippines to make sure Sanji will be able to get away, and they end up winning the trade with Kirk going down. It means though that Onic Philippines has stopped the major sequence for Team Liquid in the mid, and now they'll be able to clear up top and go back to the mid lane tower again to continue trying to defend it. 28 seconds before the Lord spawns. Still a very, very close game. No clear advantage in terms of the gold, in terms of the items. Right now, it's just who can press buttons better. Yeah,
so it's coming down to the execution here for both the teams. TLPH will find another pick off if they can, but that's what you got to watch out for on the other side. Brusco having the flicker available on the show. Good choose to do it even before they decide to take the Lord. Real quick, how's items looking?
All right, in terms of the two gold laners, neck and neck, already getting closer to Holy Crystal is Kelra. 2 core items for the Moskov. Well, diversion going to the mid. Are they going to get Sanford?
Okay.
No, they won't.
Yeah, they'll back off of it. But they're going to go ahead and get control of this Lord and perhaps even just take this one. Carl TZ's got the information, but they're blitzing this.
Oh, they're blitzing it. Carl TZ in the picture, but got Ogre there by King Kong. Now they want to go for the punish. SOD finally connects, but Brusco with a beautiful kick onto Carl TZ, but still gets taken down. Now they're going to steal away the purple buff, so Brusco for a Lord.
Hell of a punish there by Team Liquid, and yeah, the SOD that finally landed led to something good for TL, but Onic did get the Lord, and they will lose their tower in mid, so it's a massive trade. It's the Lord, which Onic will be able to push out with, but Team Liquid Philippines finally got the tower in the mid lane that they've been eyeing for the past few minutes now. Look at the items of the junglers, very close. Holy Crystal, Magic Lantern already completed by Carl TZ. The core items for Hayabusa locked in all the way up to a Malefic Roar and War Axe as well. They are both very online.
Early engaged, Kirk has to use the Infernal Pursuit because the Glorious Path. They drop down. Kelra, 714 blinkers in, trying to chase right after OM.
Kelra still alive! King Kong is unstoppable! Kirk
diversion.
falls! Diversion, where is this going? It's just gonna be to advance their push even further. 3 down on the side of Liquid.
I can't believe Oheb even got away. Kelra used the flicker to try to catch him, but didn't. So they might be able to still defend this, even with just the two of them. Shield's gonna pop, Lord's taken care of. Midway still pushing in. Here's Onic Philippines in the base.
Brusco charging in with a Jeet Kundo. It might be endable there. Purify there for Sanji to be able to clear out the minions, but they burst him down. Kelra, King Kong, and Super Prince has to back off because the minion spawn for TLPH. This might be an opening.
JP with the A! OG to take down the Monster Mage! Team Liquid have defended. Onic have overstepped.
Oh, Onic Philippines, they saw the finish line, but TLPH said no, not yet.
It felt like I watched this last night.
Yeah.
Game 5, Team Falcons versus TLPH.
Hey man, at this point, it feels like we've been here already for a week, right? But let's take a look at the replay here. This is what we're talking about. They go in, they make a play on Sanji, but it's good for Oheb. Like I said, think how important it was that he didn't die from when Kelra went, because if he did get him, that'd be game over.
Yeah, and Sanji was able to maximize the Feathered Airstrike because he pressed Purify just in time to cancel the cancel of Brusco onto the Farsa. So that meant that Oheb was still able to lock down onto the final Siege minion so that they can push out. It still is a dire situation for the Cavalry though, because we cannot deny Onic Philippines are most definitely still in control. The big difference in gold is actually in the mid lane. Only up to a Blood Wings is the Farsa, but the Low Yi has 3 core items already locked in, the Enchanted Talisman, Glowing Wand, and his own Blood Wings as well.
Yeah. And that's what's crazy about it, because Sanji, even despite being down in terms of gold against Super Prince, you're still seeing how much damage a Feathered Airstrike can do. And yeah, the right timing or key timing on that Purify is going to be crucial for him in avoiding Brusco even. So Lord is up once again. There's been a whole lot of action already just near that 13.5-minute mark for this one. We'll see if TLPH has an answer. You know, a lot of the team fights that have broken out have all been from Onic Philippines deciding to go and make something happen. With one base turret down in the mid lane, TLPH will go and try to make an adjustment. They can manage the waves pretty easily though, because that is that mid wave turret down, but you can already see where Onic Philippines is deciding to plant themselves here. They might go for some sneaky maneuvers.
Split push potential there from Brusco and Kelra, but I think
Yeah, they gotta join the fight.
yeah, they have to join the fight because again, Brusco has been the main initiator for the side of Onic Philippines, but the best part is for TLPH. They can punish whatever execution Brusco does right now because of the double revitalized setup and the glorious pathway and AOG that they have.
Right, look at the items. Dominance Ice, Athena's Shield for the High Loss. Still on the way to the Dom Ice, but already has Radiant Armor and Athena's Shield, actually, for the Phobius of Kirk. They see who Stalwart is going to be important. They're sending a diversion up top, so that's a massive sure up held there by Onic.
Oh, TLPH bursting it down, glorious pathway to the lane, but King Kong steals away the Lord!
And TLPH are just going to try to get consolation prizes, but they get Brusco! And Onic Philippines are still running, but Team Liquid cannot continue the chase.
They lose Brusco. That's fine. They got the Lord. He's not going to be up for this push here, so it might be an opportunity for TLPH to clear out the Lord, stop the push from doing too much damage here.
Are they?
But what are they going to do?
Are they going to try to hold it here in the center of the map? That's difficult against a Low Yi.
A little risky.
They're trying to do a high clear here. Turret goes in with a Dark Wave. Kelra, Zaman Force pop down already. Oheb able to free hit. Sanji already used up the Feathered Airstrike. No, but they burst down Sanford. Now Super Prince looking to execute Oheb there. Kirk, though, got taken down. Diversion. Where they're going to go, they might go back. King Kong with a Shadow Kill there, and 2 will fall down for TLPH.
Carl TZ's back on the map. He's going to try and get Kelro. Can he burst him down? Baby! Cakes with a shutdown onto the Harif.
And one crucial Spear of Destruction changed everything. Super Prince almost got Oheb there, but Sanji with the save.
Oh man, earlier last game we saw the KK connection, even if it was a different variation, and now we're seeing the Baby Cakes duo make work here, staying in the game. We said this minutes ago. TLPH needed to buy time. Ren Marian, they have bought time.
Bro, I don't know what's going on in the Philippines, man. There's something in the water, and it sure as hell isn't fluoride.
The decision to go and high clear that Lord despite the Onic having a Louis. And again, they have trouble locking down Kelra, so assuming that the Zaman forces drop down, he's just gonna dance away. But still, Oheb was able to back off, and then right on time as soon as Carl TZ jumps in, the SOD connects.
Oh man, again, they find themselves here at this point. Lord's still a ways away. a minute on the clock for that to come up. So Onic Philippines, you know, you're starting to see them being like, all right, we're going to have to kind of adjust our game plan here with this. And this is where some of those important diversions can come to play. That's always something that they can pull out of the sleeves here with Super Prince. You're seeing how much damage there is in difference here between the two teams as well. And that's all been the story because TLPH has had to play catch-up in terms of itemization. But now I feel like they're actually in that capability to fight, you know, the way that it's been playing here. Now that's something that Onic Philippines has to consider even before this next Lord does come up. Right now, too, you got tanky front line for TLPH to deal with, plus still the 2 Revitalize are going to be crucial in that next take. So right now, just kind of a face-off while the junglers go and get their buffs. They got to make sure they go ahead and play this right. They might also use Oheb, unless he decides to stick with the team here.
Okay.
Oh, it's just going to throw the spear.
Conceal.
It hit.
SOD connects onto
Oh,
Kelra. Oheb jumps in once again, but Brusco with a beautiful T2 can go onto the back with a weak shadow kill. They're going to bring down Santi!
Oh, TLPH are falling apart. Onic Philippines have done it yet again. Wiped out are the cavalry.
In exchange for Kirk, Onic Philippines again, just like what we witnessed in game number 1. A dominant win for the Sonics.
Bruce Goat. Just when Team Liquid Philippines pulled the trigger, another slick kick and knock up by Brusco.
Day number 1, it was all about Badangs, and now it's all about Chose for Brusco.
Oh, this is going to be a good one to break down here for Brigida and Leo. Guys, what do you have to say about game 2?
It feels exactly how game number 1 ended. A team fight that broke out, which nearly looked like Team Liquid could have taken advantage of, but it was Onic all along who knew how to win it in the long run.
It went from worse to bad, if we're talking about game 1 to game 2 progression. But yeah, no, I think Liquid felt it in them that maybe if we can catch Onic off guard, we could end this. But just before that, Brigida will test this. I was watching it. I literally, this is an I told you so moment. It's like, don't be impatient. Wait for the right moment and fight when you feel it. But another key to Liquid actually coming back is to take down King Kong. King Kong did not let that happen.
Yep, and that's where the impatience came in. The entire, oh, we could go for it. They saw this. The Salmon Force, it was already burned, but they didn't take into account King Kong. They didn't take into account that there was a wall, that there was a kick, and that there was the vacuum that could come in from Super Prince. Everything. They weren't able to take account of that. And this guy, he didn't die, as you mentioned. They weren't able to find him.
Instead of serving up a point to Liquid, King Kong was giving out 808s and heartbreaks. Not a single death, 8 assists, 8 kills. He was on it. Again, a lot of people will say King Kong has his ups and downs.
Yep.
But this is just the metagame affecting how King Kong plays. And now, after 3 weeks of a break and what, a month and a half of the patch drop-in, he understands now. He knows where he can play. He knows the space in the metagame that he can move around and operate in. And the Hayabusa gives him such a great toolkit to do just that.
We saw how much he was able to maximize all of that, especially considering as it wasn't as perfect of an early game for TLPH2. We did mention a couple of times how, why is it the SOD connecting? And I feel like that affected their early game so much because it could have been way better. Oheb was doing a great job managing the waves, but there was always a team fight happening on the other side, which if he could have just joined, things could have been different for Team Liquid Philippines.
But one might argue that if Oheb joined these fights, it's not a guaranteed win, especially when there is a Hayabusa always out on the hunt for you. And what happened was, King Kong went for the next best thing. He went for Sanji. Did not want to go for Kyle TZ because there was a moment in this game where Carl TZ was walking around top lane, bumped into a random Shinobi hiding in a bush, like King Kong said, major flinch. Right? So Oheb did what was best for business at the time.
Yep. And it was very difficult to see that even towards the late game where Team Liquid Philippines just decided to say, Oheb, let's not go for the split anymore. We did talk about this too, right? Like they were just doing that entire for Protect 1. They knew how badly they needed to protect Oheb, but even that didn't work anymore. Sanji had too much of a hard time. This is something we mentioned too earlier that we didn't see in game number 1, you know?
Sanji died maybe 3 or 4 times too much, and he did what he could. Again, he was a threat magnet. He was doing everything in the early to mid that Liquid could not afford to do with Carl and Oheb. But again, we have to give our flowers to Liquid as well, despite losing this game here and one more away, one more loss from losing the series. Baby Capes came online. Very late though. Very late. Kyle TZ, he was doing what he could with a joy, but look at this lineup from Onic, right? You have a Cho that could... All right. Onic, ask me, are they a frontline or a backline lineup?
Are they a frontline or are they a backline?
They're a frontline, backline lineup. That's what's so difficult is Sanji couldn't hide, Carl TZ couldn't cut through, Sanford was dying like half the time that he didn't have a revitalize, and Oheb, you know what, maybe it was a blessing in disguise that he was missing SODs. Because if he did come through, he would have to think twice of, is this even worth it? Because I might die when I jump in.
Yeah, those are probably some of the little things which allowed Team Liquid Philippines to extend this game, honestly. And unknowingly, it really could have been something, you know. Now I'm starting to think, does Team Liquid Philippines actually get away with this? How do they, like, recreate that entire reverse sweep if they're up against Onic, who doesn't let go of the red side and are just this good at pressing buttons?
All right, to answer your question, I'm going to go back to the root of it. Brigida, they can't get away with anything. It's not a matter of finessing a victory out of Onic. You have to go through the belly of the beast. You have to understand that fundamentally, Liquid cannot slip up. There has to be some way you stop King Kong from farming. You have to stop him from being the BPI rich guy. You have to compromise Super Prince's hero pool without giving something else in return elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, we might need to see a little bit more of their mid or trio rotations and how they're able to actually focus down on certain things in the early game, because it does feel like there are two different things that they want to do, especially if you look at Sanji and JP.
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. Like I had a grocery list of things to check off for them to even think of getting back into the series. But yeah, no, you're right. If for Onic, it was so easy for them to say, all right, KK, King Kong, Kirk, sure, game 1. And then for game 2, it was more Kelra, King Kong again, the old school KK, which, by the way, Kirk played a game very similar to his performance in the grand finals of Mobile Masters, where he was sitting with a CC at 0-8 and whatever. Here he was like 0-6, 0-7, with a Phobius, still doing his job. That is one of the main strengths of Onic here in this series so far. And in the run of the playoffs, like, they are such role players from lane to lane to roll to roll. Now let's look at the gold difference timeline again. This time, it's a little closer compared to game number 1, where in game 1, it was like Onic on the red, yeah? It was just, whoop, it was this thick. Here, close in the gap. I would reckon at about 10-9 minutes, this is where the gold lead was like 900 or 1,000, just barely. And then slowly, Onic builds that lead once again. It closes, and I think it's at this point, right here, about 16 minutes. This is where Liquid goes, yeah, why don't we force something in mid, right there. We go for the concealed play, jump into the AOG, and regret it almost instantly because of what Brusco did, because of how Onic's draft was a front line, back line kind of lineup. For those fans of Key and Peele, you know what I'm talking about. Here you'll see Onic ended really quickly. Again, mid was penetrated for Liquid, so you know that was irreversible damage. Not to even mention how the game almost ended about 5 minutes ago, right? With that defense of a lifetime with Sanji pressing the Purify at the very perfect moment. Brusco just taking all the turret hits. That was a close call, but this right here could have looked very different. Turret, I would reckon these 2 turrets went down in trade for this turtle right here. This was that bottom rush by Oheb. And then, again, you can't trade short-term goals and wins for Onic, against Onic, with the way that they're going. I know what Liquid was trying to go for this, right? They were trying to trade that Lord for a turn, but Onic was just so good at cutting their losses and getting out of there. That's what this was. And then we had another one here, which they were able to defend. I think this one was the negative gains Lord. And then from there, again, Liquid tried to go for a short-term win. Let me introduce a concept called Who's the Beatdown, all right? Last time I talked about this was maybe an M series or an MSC, wherein the winner of any given matchup, any given contest, is the one who understands their role in that bout best. So here, you ask, who was the beatdown at any given time, early, mid to late? For the most part, the beatdown was Onic. And in that last moment where Liquid said, yeah, why don't we pull the trigger here? Bah! They misunderstood that the frontline, backline lineup was still very much online, and they missed the cue. They got wiped out. Game ended. Who was the beatdown? Onic knew better. Now, looking at the item progression, again, you'll see that Oheb is slightly behind Kelra. He did build his boots first, but the Trinity will take a little longer to build up. He did get it comfortably, under 10 minutes. But the fact is, Kelra never really died. Kelra was sitting at 2-0 and X for a majority of the game, and I think Kelra is one of the reasons why the frontline, backline lineup works so well. What does this mean? Again, let's run through frontline, backline. Backline killers, that's your Hayabusa, that's your Phobius. They're the ones who cross over and use their reach to close the gap between them and Liquid's range. Again, talking about that Farsa and that Moskov. But what is the backline breaker from Onic? The ones that mess up with the front line, because again, you already have the targets for the Farsa and the Oheb, the Farsa and the Moskov. You have the Harith, you have the Loyi. These are the ones that punish whoever King Kong and Brusco don't find with the kicks, right? So you have people who threaten the back line, and you have people who threaten the front line. And that's what makes it so hard for the AOG and the Glorious Pathway to make a difference. So even if you tried to catch him off guard, even if you thought that, all right, timing is better for us here in mid, let's go, let's get him, you forgot that Kelra can just, as quickly, I think there was a defensive response from Kelra and from Super Friends to actually just tank it a little bit, move back, and then fire off. And again, amazing damage profile spread here from Onic. Magic, physical, magic. Crowd control. See, so it's so hard to itemize against this clean. I saw a point in the game where in Super Friends, if I'm not mistaken, after picking up the winner crown, at some point juggled a glowing wand. He understood that I can deal enough damage, I can burst you, but what if fights go long? He felt the wrath of the double revitalize, and that's why he had to buy it back. Same goes for Kelra here. Kelra had to be very specific about how he built his concentrated energy. He knew that underneath these double revitalizes, he had to fight for a little longer. Sustain that front line, back line team fight that might go maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Once they've confirmed that Oheb missed the SOD, that's why this came in early for him. Holy Crystal here. I believe there is a Feather of Heaven somewhere in this build. This is a juggle right here, cooldown boots. So itemization came into play, and I think that's one of the reasons why Onic is also so ahead of the game here in the series, because despite the gold lead being very close, again, not more than 2,000 up until, you know, someone started to drop the ball, you're making this game of inches turn into a game of opportunity. And that is what leads us to match point for Onic. Let's go back at the draft recap. This was a clutch pick here, right here. The Lo Yi being, again, something that you expect to come from Super Friends. And even when you plan to face off against it, Coach RC understands, the rest of Liquid knows that they banned the Selena, they banned the Zushin, they left this out, and they think this was enough to answer for it. Maybe in scrims they were right. Maybe in their simulations they were right, but not in playoffs. Not now, not at match point. So Onic looking to break Liquid's record-breaking performance in the regular season. 0 deaths for King Kong, 1 death for Kelra. The KK duo wants to go bulletproof.
It's only been 3 weeks, but imagine that, right? They've evened out their score in the regular season the last time they met, and Onic are now 1 win away from taking that win against Team Liquid Philippines overall in the season, and even punching their ticket to MSC. So how satisfying would that feel, that you deny Team Liquid Philippines, one of our representatives last year, of an easy way to reclaiming their spot to MSC, and you just keep breaking records because, again, you're 3rd seed. Yeah. You're up against 1st seed.
Yeah, no, breaking records individually, breaking records as a team, breaking records within the league. This is, again, a new strength, a new power spike in the history of the Super Fam. Is not just are they individually gifted athletes in MLBB, but they also know how to change, how to evolve on the go, on the fly.
Yeah. We do have to commend even their staff, everyone involved in the way we're seeing the Super Fam right now. But I believe we have something going on in the Champions Arena, so let's throw it over to our All Access segment.
Maraming salamat sa ating panelists. I am just right in front of Super Fam. Super Fam, buhay pa ba ang lahat? Isa na lang ang kinakailangan ng Onic Philippines to make it into that Grand Finals, Odin. But of course, bago natin simulan na magiging laban, kasama natin, walang iba, for another time this season, Fuego. Welcome ba? Kamusta?
Hello po, ayan. Okay naman po.
It's so nice.
Yes, masaya po.
Yung emote mo.
Oo nga.
Ano ba yun? Kaya pa ba?
Wow!
Ako, hindi ko alam kung nakuha nyo na yun, ha? Pero dapat kunin nyo na while you still have time. Fuego, hindi na ako magpapaligoy-ligoy pa kasi madalas ka naman ang nandirito at nanonood. Sino ba sa tingin mo ang magcha-champion this season 15?
Actually, lahat naman ng team deserve mag-champion. Grabe yung playoffs ngayon, no? Sobrang lalakas talaga, di kita yung laban. Pero syempre, para sa akin, it's Onic.
It's Onic Philippines. Bakit Onic, Fuego?
Kasi pansin ko since last year, pag nakuha na ng Onic yung kanilang momentum, mahirap nang pigilan.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've seen all throughout the 2 matches.
Yes, lalo na ngayon. Na may momentum na sila.
Andito na nga sila, 2-0 na. And Fuego, napapansin din naman natin na lumalakas na rin yung ibang regions natin. So, tingin mo ba, kaya nating makuha this time yung MSC title?
Yes, kasi babalik na si Kelra sa MSC eh.
Ay,
Sorry. Ay,
Tama. Babalik na siya sa MSC
babalik
at
na
sa
siya.
AWC. You know what? You're right. You're right. Kasi, I mean, dami na kasi nating pinanalo eh. Diba? So parang understandable na kung bakit nahalinhin na natin. But again, I want to know, from your perspective, ano bang nangyayari? Because the past 2 days, all Game 5s, it was pretty intense. What separates Filipino players from the rest of the world that tila hindi nila ma-break yung kadalasan na ginagawa talaga ng Pilipinas?
Kasi dito, RG pa lang talagang balagbaga na sa Pilipinas.
Ilan ba stars mo, Fuego?
Ngayon, nasa ano lang guys, nasa 100 lang.
100 stars? Lang, no?
Oh, yung batak talaga yung team ko, itong nasa likod sila.
Ano dyan? Ilan ang stars? Ilan?
Yan sila.
100 na yan.
100
Sila,
na?
sila.
Ilan na
Sila
sila?
yung batak. Ilan daw kayo?
Ito yung sa inyo.
280 na.
280?
280. Okay, so sa mga turo mo yan, Fuego, natututo yung mga Filipino players dahil sa'yo.
Hindi naman lahat. Hindi naman lahat.
Ako din, kahit ako, hindi ko pa natututunan yung mga turo niya eh.
Alam mo, gusto ko matutunan yan. Pero hindi. You know what? I think we still have one more for you. Odin, ano ba?
Anong mensahe mo sa mga players natin dyan?
Ang message ko lang sa mga player ay gusto ko lang magpasalamat sa patuloy na pagbibigay ng magandang laban lagi, no? At yun, napapasaya nyo lagi yung mga fans sa mga naging laban nyo. At sulit, syempre, yung mga tickets na binibili.
Ano bang meron dito, Fuego? Invite mo naman sila.
Correct.
Yes, guys, ini-invite ko kayo na suportahan palalo ang ating MPL PH. At manood kayo, pwede kayo manood dito live sa ating venue.
Oo. Paano naman kung ubos na yung ticket?
Pwede silang pumunta sa playground.
Sa
baba.
playgrounds.
Kung saan dun sila mag-enjoy din. And also, pwede din kayo manood ng mga streams sa different platforms ng ating mga KOLs. And syempre, sa ating MPL official page.
Yeah, I agree. Fuego, maraming salamat. Sisilipin na natin later on, Odin, kung ano ba ang posibleng mangyari moving forward. Will it be Onic Philippines as our first grand finalist or will Team Liquid Philippines say something else about it? Panel, balik sa inyo.
Thank you so much to Hans and Odin. Fuego, wherever you hear his voice, be it online or live, it sounds exactly the same, you know, the way he does all those tutorials, those very informative videos. If you haven't, please do check him out. He does a lot of content regarding MLBB, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot from it. And by the way, from esports content, speaking of content, your favorite Filipino movies, Watch Up, is here.
Go to watchapp.ph and load video 10. That's video 10 to stream your favorite movies and shows. No app needed. Smart data only.
After one game, you can do one stream. So load video 10 now and hop on watchapp.ph now so you could check all of these out. And by the way, do you also need pro level speed? Make the smart switch and stay ahead of the game.
Get your smart eSIM today for only 99 pesos and experience ultra-fast 5G connection on any device. No SIM swapping needed.
Yeah, you can skip the hassle, and that's available now at smart stores nationwide or online via the smart online store. If I'm not mistaken, they might also have a booth out there. Again, Fuego did mention it himself. If you didn't get to secure tickets, there's a playground downstairs where you can still visit us and watch alongside the other members or the other fans in a watch party. And that's a huge area where there are beanbags, where there are booths, so you can definitely check that out for yourselves. Now, going back into this game or the series, it's a switch up, I feel. It's now Team Liquid Philippines on the red side.
For the first time in the playoffs of MPL Philippines Season 15, Onic PH will have to play blue.
How surprising is this if they adjust from that and still get away with the sweep?
I hate to be a pessimist here. I did predict Liquid, but this is one of the things. Coach RC digging deep and saying, you know what, it's time for that plan. For us to play the draft and go from there. If we can do it from there, then we can maybe come back in the series. Or this is just them trying everything that they can, just one more game just to stay in the series.
That's so true. And we're calling in Renmar once again. How about you, Renmar? What are your thoughts? We're finally seeing Onic play blue side for the first time in a while.
I am no longer Renmar. I am now Slick Fick. Anyways, it's interesting. I gotta agree with Leo here that maybe it's something about Coach RC. Wait, did Onic pick to go blue, or
it was TL?
It was TL that decided to go red, and now it forces Onic to draft in a different side that they did after 12 games.
Yeah.
They got the red side.
So Slick Dick, you're feeling that too, yeah? You feel that there might be an air of desperation here.
Yeah.
Wait, is it Slick Thick?
Slick Dick, yes.
Slick
With
Thick.
4
It's alright, Brigida, you don't need to call me that. It's fine, it's fine.
Oh, okay. So
Leo, it's a necessity. I'm kidding.
There are so many things changing in this game, you know, like it's their sides and it's the names, but right now so far I feel like the bans too, they're changing significantly. We're seeing the Lucas suddenly banned here for Onyx since they're in the blue side. The Kalea's taken out as well. That leaves the Fanny, the Joy. The Fanny's not, it's banned out too, but that leaves the Joy as well as the other options still available for Onyx Philippines if they ever want to consider that in their first pick.
Yeah, the Zhu Shin
not
is
anymore.
a pick that TLBH constantly attacked in the first phase, but now they instead go for the Joy. This does open all of Super Prince's picks.
What if it's another Jushu 1-1, you know, like...
Yeah, I mean, could just be a Juice and Rush already. Either the Juice in or the surprise low Yi. Chip was the one taken out there by Onic. Yeah, it's Juice in.
Yep.
So, does this mean Badang? Nope, it's not. It's straight into the Granger focus. They really just want to get the different pick here for OM, who spent the 2 games as a Moscow.
They're changing things up, but what a fast response. I know this is...
Flames one.
Now, there's a Sicilian, there's a Selena, but you're up against an Angela Zushin in mid. That's like so much pressure. There's a Valir, but like, wait.
What's your move gonna be?
Sanji.
It has to be something that can fight long. It can't just be like pure burst.
Oh my good. Wait,
They go utility, they go the route of utility and everything on the Granger basket. Yeah, it's burst, but then of course with what the Astral Echo brings to the table, it's better than if they decided to go for something like a Feathered Airstrike. I like this Novaria pick.
It's a good recovery for the swerve. That was the last phase for Onic Philippines, but here's the thing. I don't know if Liquid was ready for this. I don't know if Liquid was ready to face off against the Alex, because we have seen some Fredericks in the past 2 days of the playoffs, but none as all insane as Onyx draft now.
If anything, I'm just looking at how TLPH might be holding on to their familiarity with these kinds of heroes with the draft, because I think this brings us back season 13 maybe, where Sanji was just such a huge threat on the Novaria, but I know things are different right now, so let's see how this goes for this match point of Onic. Let's give it over to our casters.
Jumping into the land of Dawn once again, it's game 3, it's match point right now with a very interesting draft for Onic Philippines. Will TLPH trying to bring out the magic like they did yesterday to get a possible reverse sweep on the way? We're going to find out. It's me, Nice tuning on, and I don't know if I'm going to call you that, man. I don't know if I'm going with a, what is it?
Slick thick.
Slick thick.
It's not a requirement. You guys don't need to force it. I just wanted to get it out there.
All right, I'll say it to you later. Now let's look at the emblems.
All right, I want to see what the Novaria is on. Of course, you had to get Rupture on that. Now, one of the difficult things about picking the Novaria for TLPH, though it was a good response to the swerve, is that they will be susceptible to invades up against the Jushin, Hilda, Baxia Rome, empowered by an Baxia Jungle, empowered by the Angela. This is a high invade comp on the side of Onyx. So JP really needs to make the most of his Unbreakable so that he'll have a counter engage with the taunt. And Sanji can only do so much to stop invades and aggressive plays by Onic once they start going into the jungle of Team Liquid.
You know, after seeing Brusco use the Badangs, the Chos, the Kaleas, goes with an Angela this time. And the last time we saw this kind of composition where there was a Baxia jungler and the roamer Angela was between Alter Ego and BTR week 9 of MPL ID, and they actually won against BTR.
Yeah, it's something that can work. I mean, I commented to this in the panel yesterday. I was like, you know, I'm glad we're in this part of the meta where you can bring the utility junglers back again. And I know we don't see Baxia too much in the jungle, but King Kong brings it forward. We've seen a whole lot of Fredrin lately, so it's like a throwback, but it's like we don't want to stay there. Like, we just want to take a glimpse at it because we were there for so long before. But the way that's going to work with the Angela is going to be great. Oh, they can make a play here. Already burning the flicker, though, from Sanford. Yep. So this could be a good sign to just go ahead and grab that turtle. It looks like even for TLPH. Look at Kirk.
The Lantern Flare and the Puppet on the string. Intense crowd control. No way, Kirk. Almost got a hold of Carl Teasy there, so it looks like TLPH won't be able to contest for this first turtle.
Yeah, Onic Philippines can just continue to do this, or specifically Kirk. They have free access to the jungle of Team Liquid right now. Carl Teasy is going to be able to get his orange buff, but it's tough. They could not get close to the turtle, and this might be the story for the first 7 minutes of the game, where it's just Onic constantly going to the jungle of Team Liquid in the key objective team fights.
Okay, that's well played for Onic. You know, the whole sequence of that leading into that first turtle. Not going to be anything massive, of course, but at least getting that first objective, and it looks like they're able to go ahead and actually poke down quite a few members of TLPH. Kirk especially. I mean, we've seen this Hilda in action quite often, and it is just tough to deal with for a lot of teams early game. Oh,
Astral Echo dropped down, Lantern Flare as well. Forced out Sanji's Flicker there to evade a potential death.
Yeah, good thing he actually used that Flicker. If he didn't, he most likely would have been taken down by Super Friends and King Kong. King Kong could have just tower dived, and Super Friends would be the one to finish off Sanji. So, looking at the goal difference, already a lead for the Jushin, small one. Irithel as well. Kelra having a fun time in lane, of course, back in the day, which was December, so it wasn't that far away.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, December 2024, I remember those times. Irithel was always just an instant answer to the Granger in the gold lane. It teetered out and balanced out eventually, where it was a little bit more of a skill matchup, but lately, with the resurgence of Irithel, with all of the Granger picks coming into the playoffs, we're starting to be reminded as to why Irithel dominated that matchup for quite a few weeks.
Yeah, you know, Kirk's treating this game like a marathon, literally from the top lane, starting to stay here in the bottom lane to go for a gank onto JP and to Oheb. So now they're trying to sandwich the two members of TLPH. Sanji already cast the Astral Echo, but Kirk, with the power of Wilderness, drops down Sanji.
Kirk's a Broly man.
Yeah, measured and calculated for the Kirk tech. He can just keep doing that over and over again. This is going to be a very fun game for a Hilda EXP, who's just now chasing Cartesi. After taking down Sanji, he's going after the young goat.
He's going to zone him out pretty well. Sanford's trying to help here. JP around the corner, what do they do?
Picked up by the Lantern Flare. Sanford desperately trying to go with Infernal Pursuit and zone out the members of Onic as CLPH just wants to get his orange buff as Onic secures the turtle.
Very close. It looked like Sanji was going to get the last hit into that turtle, but just in time, King Kong was able to retribution it away. Ken Keller having a great time in lane. Already one whole experience bar gap between him and Oheb. 3,000 plus in the gold, and Oheb has yet to break the 3,000 threshold. Let's look at where they are at right now. Excuse me, he did break it, but it's closer to 4,000 for Kelra.
Purple buff looking like a big objective because Onic here on a roll right now. Good Lantern Flare there King Kong soaking up the damage. JP used the AOG defensively.
You see, man, like TLPH, yeah, if you're really just looking at the goal, there's not much of a difference. But the way that they're losing in all parts of the map is because they can't fight. They're getting zoned out everywhere. And a lot of that has to do with just this lineup that Onic Philippines brought. Mind you, we haven't even seen the huge value that the Heart Guard from Brusco can actually play. Whether he goes for King Kong, Kirk, or Kelra, like he can choose any of those targets, and it's going to be such value on that ultimate with any of those heroes.
So much value for the entire lineup of Onic Philippines. Seems like a pick your poison type of deal. Not really poison, it's like, oh, what are you feeling like today? Oh, I'll pull back onto King Kong.
Shield Unity got disrupted by the Dark Wave. Ash good cast for Astral Echo, but a solo kill.
Kelra got Oheb down alone in lane. He didn't need any help then.
Well, he didn't even need the Heart Guard. He just goes 1v1. Look at this pressure still. Like I said, Kirk is just bullying right now, TLPH.
Oh, Kirk in the midst of everything, forcing without the flicker plus the Heart Guard. Brusco is there. Sanford continuing to jump in as Onic applying a lot of pressure into the middle lane. Dark Wave, Infernal Pursuit, they're chasing after Kirk and Brusco. JP goes in with the AOG.
Now Kirk getting chased. Team Liquid will not commit that though. Way too risky. Still very close in terms of the goal. They were able to find resources elsewhere. But this is a do or die objective for Team Liquid. If they lose this massively, you might count the game already for Onic.
Oh, Kirk.
Oh!
Dead again?
The KK connection brings down Oheb as Carl Teasy steals away the turtle. Super Frizz goes in with the Crimson Beacon and Lantern Flare.
2 members down on the side of Liquid. It's Carl, TZ, and JP. And yeah, I'm going to stick by what I said. If Team Liquid lost that in a big fashion, which they did, count this as done. Onic just needs to hold on and not slip up.
Even just getting the objective, it doesn't mean anything if you lose all that. Plus, Oheb dying again. Very unfortunate for him. He's going to have a lot of room to go ahead and try to catch back up here. Taking a look at just how he needs to go. I mean, look at this. He's only at 4 points. He's got 2 items. He's about 2,000 gold behind.
Okay.
Kelra, oh, hold on.
Again being jumped on, but there's the clutch Heart Guard from Kirk. Will he be able to sustain it? He finally gets a kill and a stack on his Piercer. Brusco might be the next target, so Astral Recall is not going to connect, but still getting chased down by the Filipino sniper. He got dodged down. That's Sonata, but not enough to take down the Bruiser.
The moves and grooves.
The Angela survived the chase by Liquid. But that was not on my MPL Philippines Season 15 playoffs bingo card.
Just imagine the reality of that. Granger firing off at an Angela, and she's just tiptoeing, dancing around and healing. It's good that he has the Flask of the Oasis, by the way, because that provides a lot of that heal. So that's got to be frustrating. But if Oheb was able to get that kill, that would have been great. But it does get him a little bit closer because I was just pointing out the 2,000 gold difference between him and Kelra. And so he needs moments like that. So again, this could be in that similar fashion like we talked about earlier, where TLPH has to buy a lot of time. And how do they do that with this kind of lineup? Well, it's moments like that. And maybe even punishing Onic Philippines if they get a little more confident and overstep a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Onyx game to lose right now. Oheb still desperately catching up in terms of the gold. Purple buff invade by Onic Philippines. Is it going to be a big one?
Kirk just zoning out every single member of TLPH. Kelra from the back! Trying to work on Oheb though, so there's no CC to control Kelra, and he takes down a turret with him.
Oh, jump in.
Oh, clutch Heart Guard there from Brusco. Sanford for the chase, he was too fast. Carl Teasy jumps in, pops a Wiki Shadow Kill, but Kirk shares the damage as well, and they save Kelra.
Good routing by the run of Kelra as now he's getting chased down. Let's see if Team Liquid Philippines will be able to take down the Aerithel. Kirk now gonna get Dark Wave. He's getting jumped on. King Kong gets alone without a problem, but Kirk falls down to Team Liquid Philippines, but that's all they will get.
Yeah, and all throughout that, King Kong was just working on the Lord, and now the clackback. Super Prince goes in with the Crimson Beacon plus Lantern Flare. Just look at the damage of Kelra alone to all the members of TLPH.
And this whole time, King Kong gets the Lord. He's managing one of the waves at bottom too, cutting it off. But that's the thing. That was all pretty much a distraction. You saw how long they were able to survive just that whole exchange because of the speed and mobility that an Aerithel brings. But then also you throw an Angela on top of that. So great distraction from Onic Philippines. Now it's TLPH that has to deal with this Lord push.
Lord sieging in onto the top lane. Still Onic Philippines taking the discipline route. Good cast of the Astral Echo to try and prevent Onic from snowballing now, and they will be able to take the Lord down.
If Team Liquid Philippines manages to pull this off, it's going to be one of the greatest comebacks of all time. PHMLBB, but Onic look absolutely hell-bent to just sweeping up the cavalry here, to being the first team to make it to MSC. To try and defend their legacy for immortality, they are just mere moments away, but can Team Liquid hold on and extend this to a point where they'll be close enough to turn the whole narrative around?
Yeah, and for Onic, if they manage to sweep TLPH, this would be the first sweep of our playoffs, and at the same time, the first time a third seed will win over a first seed in the regular season.
Man, I said it yesterday. I was like, there's no way this is going to be a sweep when TLPH was in that position. They're in it now, and it's looking a little dicey. You know, 4K behind. You got a lot of ground to cover still across the lanes here for the majority of it. of it, and they haven't had an answer really just yet to deal with this sustainability that the Angela brings to this. But even then, when you have a lineup that's meant to go ahead and catch people, especially with an Avatar of the Guardian, for example, from JP, but there's just, on the other side, there's so much mobility, you really have to be able to land those Avatar of the Guardians, the unbreakable taunts, and what have you. But it's just difficult. How do you catch Kelra, you know, and how do you get to the right targets here when everybody's running? I mean, think about it. Hilda, Baksha, the Irithyll, and
Even Angela.
Yeah, I mean, so your only target is Super Prince. But do you even want to get close to Super Prince? Because then he's just going to throw you around.
Yeah, one of the main targets could be King Kong, but what can you do up against a Baksha that has an Angela at the same time? It's hard enough to drop the AOG. What more, the Astral Recalls from Sanji. Sanford forced to flicker because Super Prince is there for the Crimson Beacon Lantern, but Astral Echo drop down. JP goes in with the AOG. Is this it for Onic Philippines? Will they continue? But they force out the Revitalize, and CLPH retreats.
All right, good thing Onic Philippines so backed off there as the Lord already spawned. If they decided to dive that tower, that would have been way too much. Big resources gone, though. Good thing Sanford committed that flicker, because if he didn't, he would have gotten caught out. JP went in with the AOG, but he got out as well with the Revitalize, and Onic were disciplined. This does not look good for Liquid. This is going to be an extremely difficult Lord take. Even if Carl TZ can somehow steal it, what will be the price? Will they pay the iron price in blood, get the Lord, but then lose all their bodies and lose the series? Or will they somehow steal this away and get away with just enough to make something out of nothing with a second Lord of the game?
Oh,
Good zone.
Dragged in. JP's been dragged everywhere.
Oh, Astral Echo already cast it down. Kelra from the back. AOG used defensively. Here comes Kelra with a hard guard. Brusco as well. Sanford got caught up by forward. A killing spree for Kelra.
And TLPH have already lost one, and they no longer will be able to contest this Lord. A free one for Onic Philippines.
Free one. And there was really no option for TLPH to deal with that. Again, like I was saying, Super Prince doing an amazing job of just zoning everybody out. And even Kelra leaving them guessing when trying to go for an off angle and everything. So TLPH, they find themselves in a predicament here. They're going to have to deal with this Lord push. They are down quite a bit. Do they have a chance here, Renmar? Looking at the items.
All right, let's look at where Oheb has had already up to 4 core items. You know, that should be enough damage from his department, but then look at everything else that Onic has. They already have 2 antique harasses, the Wildlight armor even on King Kong. The front line is extremely well built. Brusco is there to supplement it with everything. Carl TZ! Carl TZ!
Got caught up there, but was able to quad shadow out. JP again, defensive AOG. Resources expended for TLPH. He does, however, still have the Revitalize.
He's got the Revitalize, doesn't have the ultimate, though. Maybe if they stall out, they'll have it for a big defense, but even then, you can just see how much struggle there is right now for TLPH.
Liquid running out of time. This might just be it. As Onic Philippines just a few steps away from getting close to defending their championship at home. Lord down. Onic goes in.
Base now exposed. Sanford has to flicker out. Good cast of the Dark Wave, but the first man down is Sanford. King Kong soaked up the damage of the Wiki Shadow Kill. Lord still stood up, but TLPH, their base, has now been exposed.
Minion waves are going to be coming in from the top and the mid. No big ultimate here for Onic. Let's see if they'll get a hard guard back up in time. Carl TZ trying.
Oh, you're going to be able to clear out the minions onto the middle lane and the top lane. So Onic... Wind of Nature! Pop Carl TZ! OM quite low! JP defensive AOG again! And time after time, Kelra just makes plays like that!
That isn't the god in the gold lane! That is simply Kelra!
Now they're sieging in onto the middle lane. 4 are left to defend. The young goat not in the picture, but Onic Philippines will disengage. Super Prince goes over the Crimson Beacon. Paired up with Kirk. They're going to bring down one more. They have minions. Sanford desperately trying to defend, but Kelra goes for the again! And an unstoppable kill for Kelra!
And it looks like this is it. Onic are going in!
Onic Philippines now a step closer to immortality as they get to defend their crown at the grand finals. But wait, they lost their minions. 2 are left to defend. Is this it? And that is it. Onic Philippines back in the grand finals.
Some of the biggest names in global esports remain in our playoffs. Aurora, Falcons, Liquid, but the biggest name in global MLBB esports have a shot at immortality, and they are the first in the Philippines to go to MSC!
They are excited, man. Again, you remember what happened here in the regular season. Some of the doubters saying what happened. First half of the regular season, they struggled a little bit. They then went on a win streak through the second half. And now they're the first team to make their way to the grand finals here in a dominating fashion of sweep against a top seed team, TLPH, who has proved so much themselves up to this point. As they take their bow here against TLPH, will go ahead and get another chance. But man, Onic Philippines is something else in this series.
A sweep, first sweep, And at the same time, able to do that with a Brusco Angela. I mean, wow, we're just in day number 3.
And this solidifies it. A warning shot to the rest of the world. The gods will be back in the world stage. The yellow porcupines are going to be zooming across the sands of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Oh, can't wait to see it. Can't wait to hear what Onic Philippines has to say as well. We're going to have to go ahead and throw it over on stage to see what they have to say for the win.
Ladies and gentlemen, from play-ins to the grand finals, your winners, Onic Philippines! Boys, congratulations. Not only are you making it to the grand finals for a second straight season, but you are also the representatives of the Philippines para sa MSC and EWC 2025. Kelra, talk to us about this feeling. Before, tila nahihirapan, ikaw personally to make it to this point, but now, you were able to sweep TLPH, the #1 in the regular season. Anong pakiramdam that you're getting achievement after achievement?
Unang-una, sobrang saya kasi na kami uli magre-representa ng Pilipinas. Pangalawa, sobrang saya kasi may pera na naman.
Of course, that's never out of the conversation, Odin.
Kelra, you went up against your rival. Long-time rival mo na tong si Oheb. Talk to us kung ano yung naging evolution ng rival ninyong dalawa.
Kelra, ikaw at si Oheb, you're familiar with this story already.
Yung rival namin habang tumatagal, nagmamahalan na kami.
Kung may mensahe ka para kay Oheb ngayon, anong masasabi mo sa kanya?
Mensahe ko kay Oheb, sana mapasok din kayo sana kayo mapasok sa finals para magkita ulit tayo. Mahal ka namin.
We're looking forward to that, Hans.
That's a change that we don't usually see every day. King Kong, ang dami ng sumusuporta sa'yo from the Super Fam. Everybody else came here to support you today. Anong difference ng kung sakali na makukuha nyo ang title, you're part of the Grand Finals now, anong pagkakaiba ng Grand Finals ngayon kumpara sa Grand Finals last season?
Para sa akin, siguro, medyo malaki yung pinagkaiba ng Grand Finals ngayon compared sa last season kasi ito yung season na ito yung season na madaming nakabasa ng playstyle namin, ng pattern namin, pero nagawa pa rin namin ng paraan para makapasok ng Grand Finals. Sobrang thankful ko sa buong team.
And that was a dominant statement din dahil nakuha nila ang sweep.
Their team is definitely so strong right now, and I think hindi magiging strong ang isang team kung walang captain na nagli-lead. So, Super Friends!
Super Friends!
Can you talk to us right now kung ano yung nararamdaman mo ngayon na being able to lead your team to the Grand Finals?
Una-una, masaya kasi parang unang season ko rin nata na naging captain to dito. Tapos parang nagtiwala sila, tapos na finals yun.
Alam mo, friends, mula nung season 10, parang kitang-kita na namin na medyo dumadami na yung sinasabi mo sa interview. Kasi back then wala talaga masyado eh. Hindi, ganito talaga eh. But now, you've developed your confidence. Kasama ba yun dun sa mga championships na napapanalunan mo? Or is it more on you maturing as a player? Ano sa tingin mo kung bakit na-develop mo yung confidence?
Naging kampi ko kasi si Dwayne eh.
Nagiging kaampi mo kasi si Kelra. Kaya tumataas ang kumpiyansa. May pogi points. Pero I wanna know more about Coach. Paano naman daw si Brusco? Paano si Brusco, Coach? Why not?
Si Brusco, Kung walang Brusco, walang Golden Goat.
Walang Brusco, walang Golden Goat. I like it. Coach, why not? You're gonna be going back to another finals appearance. How do you keep your boys grounded? Because again, this is an ultimate Cloud9 moment para sa inyo na naman because, you're representing the Philippines and you're going back-to-back potentially. Diba? How do you keep your boys grounded heading forward into the finals matchup sa Sunday?
Kasi syempre lahat tayo may kanya-kanyang goal. So, I think meron silang mga personal goals na, yun nga, we talk about. Ako naman personally, si Coach Chef may 4 na MPL trophy. So, meron pa akong 3 kailangan na bulin. Abangan mo, Coach Chef.
I like that. Merong hinahabol and Wolf approves of that, Odin.
Okay, so meron ka pa bang mensahe, Kirk, sa ating mga super family?
Nasaan ang supporter?
Sa mga super fans dyan, thank you sa support and kita-kits sa Grand Finals.
Once again, everyone, your grand finalist and the first representative of the Philippines para sa MSC EWC 2025, it's Onic Philippines! Gentlemen, you may now take your walk of victory. Sonics, I want to know, what time is it?
It's Onic time!
And you may now take your bow. Our first representatives is Onic Philippines. The Sonics are planning to go back-to-back.
That's right, Hans. At nakita natin na sobrang lakas nila ng pagbabalik nila ngayon with a 3-0 sweep after the 2 days na talaga namang minax out nila all the series that they had. They definitely proved that they are deserving for the grand final spot.
Congratulations to our first MSC at EWC 25 representatives. Let's talk more about the match and the game na nangyari kanina as we go back to our panel.
And And it is now official. We know 1 out of 2 representatives for the upcoming MSC at EWC 2025. That's going to be Onic. They're back in the international stage once more.
Again, we mentioned how if Onic won, they would break so many records in League and in the whole world. As we know it, I'm pretty sure the rest of the MLBB Esports World's watching saying,
Yeah.
come on! Come on, Onic!
What could be their reaction, you know? Like, what could the entire world be thinking right now, especially after that Irithel performance from our game MVP?
As much as we all laud and love how the Golden Goat, the gold standard, the Filipino savage, Kelra performs every single game, I'll tell you now, Bree, they won as soon as they picked blue side. Oh, as soon as they landed in blue side, we'll throw it back later to the draft. I think they automatically knew they won.
Yeah, I mean, the draft went by so quickly, if you would recall earlier. And it was both Onic and Team Liquid Philippines looking like they were very decisive in the picks that they wanted to go for. But imagine, like, this Irithel pick hasn't been performing as much in the past few games, but this time, solo kills here and there.
Twice,
and jumping inside the base and still surviving.
Yep.
Kelra made it work.
We'll see in the highlights, and once we look at the economical graph, more details into how they did this. But folks, again, in case you haven't been tracking the stats and you've just been watching and looking at how Onic continues to dominate the brackets in the playoffs, this is their first time in blue. And that means it's a new drafting pattern that Coach RC thought he could catch Coach Wina and Coach Hayes off guard. But instead, Onic unleashed onto us a weapon the world wasn't ready for. Again, teams in the first days of the playoffs were banning out the Angela. They were looking out for this kind of draft. And little did we know, it wasn't Twisted Minds that was going to bring it out in the playoffs. It was going to be the Super Fam.
It was them. And imagine how difficult it was for Team Liquid Philippines to catch this Irithel alongside the Angela, alongside the Quantum Charge, alongside, I think, the Sprint even that was in his hands. So he was just so free to do everything he wanted. And it felt so hard for Team Liquid and their lineup, which had little to no way to lock down this hero of Onic.
That's right. Again, one could say, just build halberds, just build glowing wands. But it's not so simple.
Yeah.
Again, as soon as the Baksha was picked, going into the draft dynamics, you could say, oh, this is an XP, this is a roamer. But again, I hate to say it, I told you so. There is a small possibility that Onic brings back the jungle Baksha, and they did. And not only that, they did so while arming it with such a great cast of characters. Number 1, Kirk, already winning that lane against the Phoveus. He leaves the lane as soon as possible, bothers Cartesi, check. You have Zushin, Super Prince. This hero single-handedly turned series around in the playoffs for Onic. And then, I didn't know, Brusco Angela was the breakout hit we weren't expecting to see.
I was never expecting to see, especially in the series where he's been on the Chos, where he's been on those very aggressive types of roamers, the Baksha even, but now you see him play the Angela and it's equally as terrifying. The way they both, Brusco and Kirk, I feel like just the two of them, they were enough to become a nuisance to TLPH. I think the first blood even was in Kirk's hands. That was towards Sanji, who, for some reason, found himself being invaded in the purple buff.
Yeah, see, again, I mentioned how lane to lane, Kirk wins against the Phoveus. Kirk wins against Sanford because he just leaves. He can also go hunting again, bother Carl TZ, find Sanji through first blood, as you mentioned, and then even go up against Oheb, because again, a Granger can only do so much when there is a big Amazon woman right in front of him wailing at him. So the game wasn't easy for Oheb either.
Yeah, that was one. And the laning matchup, when it broke out to team fights every now and then, he could barely target his Rhapsodies. He could barely get his Death Sonatas onto the members of Onic Philippines. And that's already taking into consideration that they had the Astral Echo, and they did try to layer their skills multiple times. We saw that, the Astral Echo into the AOG, but given the speed, the mobility that Onic had, they could at most probably land it to 1 or 2 members, and then that's it, because they could just regroup and then fight back. They know TLPH already used a lot.
Yeah, it's not like Liquid couldn't play, it's that Onic did not allow them to play. Fundamentally, again, as soon as the draft began, blue side, Onic had a plan. Liquid, their days were numbered, going undefeated, going lossless series-wise in the playoffs, and that allowed for Kelra to score the BPI rich guy, 848 GPM. Really, it's just between him or King Kong. King Kong or him. Maybe in this game, you could say that maybe Super Friends could farm out too, but no. Like, this was a 4-protect-1 kind of situation again, and this was in their keys to victory.
Yep. The KK connection winning over the Baby Case connection this time.
Yep.
But I feel like we have a lot more to discuss, Leo.
For sure. I'd love to dig deep into the gold and the story that the game told through that. The painful lack of objectives for Liquid here in this game, and then eventually the builds that these two teams went on for, because that was one of the few ways Liquid could have clapped back, all right? Check this out. Something I noted and noticed in this sweep, in this 3-0 series, is Game 3 is the shortest and the smallest lead Onic held over Liquid before they went ahead to the largest gap they had. So check this out. Close, 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 close. As early as 8 or 9 minutes, I knew, and you guys knew, watching. Our casters knew watching, and even the players, they had such great difficulty dealing with Onyx lineup that even 8 to 9 minutes in, we might not win. This might be it. And that was just a, what, 900 gold lead, 1,000 gold lead. And then eventually, it grew to a point wherein, what was the final number? 10K, 9K between each other? And that's because no one was dying. From Onic PH, Liquid could not do anything, and this shows just exactly why. Look at all those objectives. Not a single thing touched on Onic's side of the map. Liquid, sure, Carlisi stole 1 turtle in the midst of it all, the last turtle, but that's because Onic was playing the map too. So that's how difficult it was. They were an immovable object and an unstoppable force all in one, just running through. That's what you get when you have an Angela. That's what you get when you have a jungle Baksha. And talking about the jungle Baksha, all right? The economy will tell us alongside the item builds later why 1,000 or 2,000 gold lead is more scary when you're playing against a utility jungler as compared to an assassin jungler, right? Right now, I want you to open your MLBB, right? Whether you're watching on your phone, on your TV, your computer, open your MLBB. Consider the price of defense items, tank items, and the price of attack items, mage items, the ones that give your physical or magical damage pumps instead of defense. You'll know what I'm talking about. The fact that the Baksha started building and farming slowly with such a low economy makes it all the more scary that you can't kill them because it's unstoppable. We're going back to a concept from about 3 or 4 years ago called the funnel. They were literally funneling all of their economy towards Kelra, and that allowed for him to just, again, as Brigida mentioned, as our casters called, as you saw, just walking into Liquid's base and just saying, all right, I'll wait for my jump again. I'll wait for Kirk to be able, I'll wait for Brusco to be able to jump into me, and then we can walk the long way around. They were funneling all of their economy into Kelra. He was the only one who needed any significant amount of gold. Everyone else were happy with change. That's why that small gap in the gold mattered, all right? Let's check what Onic did here. Again, that final number was, yeah, closer to 10K. That was 10K. And the items that Kelra was able to get away with. Full build here. House Claws, check. Berserker's Fury, check. He was able to go for a GDS. There you go. And let's look at Oheb, all right? Oheb suffered 2 solo kills. That's what I remember, 2 or 3 solo kills. One of them was off cam for sure. He was able to farm up, and he was struggling, fam. He was struggling. What is this, 8 or 9 minutes? 7, I'd reckon. 650s is what I recall, when he was able to build the boots, plus Hunter Strike, plus Sky Piercer. That's acceptable, but it's average. Again, going up against a lineup that Onic drafted that goes so fast, that controls the map, that can go, all right, we're a 2-man, we're a 3-man, and then suddenly we're 4 or 5 because of how fast a Hilda and an Angela can respond. This was not going to fly. This was not going to do. And eventually, yeah, towards the end of the game, he was able to build a Sea Halberd. But you're also thinking, how much more can we do when we already have a Glowing Wand and a Dominance Ice, and we still can't kill them? Where's your damage going to come from? Honestly, it gets to a point where it is frustrating. And that's what I felt for Liquid in this game. 16 minutes of sheer frustration. Why is this Hilda in my face? Why can't I kill whoever Brusco chooses to go into? Why couldn't we killed Brusco? Go back to that game where Brusco went ahead and stopped his tracks, dodged the Sonata, and walked away. There has to be some sort of mental salvo, an attack, an assault on the game of Liquid, wherein Onic just got away with everything. Onic Philippines has changed the game once more. We knew that Fredrin was back in the meta. We knew that Baksha was bubbling. He was a first phase prio pick already when the playoffs started. But here Onic showed us that if you let them and you're not ready for it, they can draft into a nice one baby game that ends real quick and just chokes you out of all the possible outs. Luckily, Liquid's not out just yet. Liquid has about 24 hours to figure out what went wrong and how they can survive another run through the lower bracket. For now, let's go ahead and listen to the mic check and see what it was like calling that match.
Tingin daw. Hero lang. Kahit tapusin. Mid po. Tingin nga, tapang sila. Basta to, baga. Op. Kalma. Clear. Messi!
Yep, that was probably one of the few mic checks which were very hyped, and you know exactly why they had to be screaming towards the end of them actually getting to break down that base of Team Liquid Philippines.
I mean, confirmed MSC, confirmed Grand Finals, we get to defend our title. And for a second there, especially in the regular season, the world forgot that MSC is just another step towards completing the Golden Road. Onic Philippines, they have a chip on their shoulder. They want to prove to them that, you know, what happened in the latter part of 2024, in the earlier parts of this year, it's not a fluke. So they want to go all the way, and this is just another step for them to go away, and that's what was fueling their...
Yeah, and when you talk to these players, whenever you go into interviews with them, they're very honest too, you know? Like, they don't deny the fact, like, wink, wink, either be it King Kong or Kelra, you just know what you're about to win. You just know the prize pool, the huge amount that will be right in front of you once you get into MSC. And that's just one of the many things that these teams or these players are fighting for. The last time we saw them in an international stage, they got a coach who was newly engaged, and that was a different kind of motivation. This time around, they're on that road, constantly breaking records, beating expectations, and just showing everyone out there that despite the bumpy start they had in the start of Season 15, they're about to get out there once again and show what they're able to learn. That's scary, though. The super family that just keeps on learning together.
Yeah, they're always hungry. I think it's that constant strive for something greater and for more. Again, they've damn near done everything you could in the world of MLBB esports. Win in the hardest region to play in. Win the World Championships. Go to China, go to Indonesia, go to Jakarta,
That's right.
go to JB in Malaysia, and just do everything you could. Now, they get to visit the Middle East. Now they get to go to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to play at the Esports World Cup. And again, there's only one slot left. Like, who's going to take that?
That's going to be tough. We still have another series awaiting us for this day, and I'm pretty sure Team Liquid Philippines will pay full attention to that series because it will be depending on that series, and they'll find out after that who they're going up against tomorrow in the first best of 7 we'll be having in the playoffs, because since last season, we've been doing this